die for dead Nazis.
Now, why would a lovely young woman say that? It might have something to do with this. Yes, that's right, I did a change my mind at my campus in UIW on Charlie Kirk, and it went about as well as you would think. The campus tried to keep me from doing it. They took away my table, then they took away my sign, and then they added more rules as I went on, but we did it anyways. It was a great success, and I hope you enjoy.
Any thoughts? Come talk to me about it. I think we'd probably agree on more things than you think. Thank you. Come talk about it. You want to talk about it? Just take pictures. Hey, what's going on, man?
My name's Adrian.
All right.
I
I'm
would
Logan.
first start off with respect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My name's
Yeah.
Adrian. What's your name?
Logan.
Nice to meet you, Logan. So, except for a money grab, this is what do you gain from trying to argue that he was an American hero?
Yeah, so I don't make any money off of this. It's not even particularly something I enjoy. I actually hate public speaking. The one thing I do get out of it is practicing my public speaking, something I want to get better at. But no, this is hundreds of hours of research and very intentional studying because I think that he was a great man and I don't like people celebrating it. I want to defend his honor because he can.
Yeah, I definitely understand that he was that it's never okay to kill somebody for beliefs or anything like that, and I completely believe in that. And I do think though that saying he was an American hero, whenever there is people that actually go out and put their life on the line for us, that it's not okay to say that he's an American hero. That we cannot call people that don't call to action in the same ways that other people do to put them in the same category as them.
Yeah. Can I? Are you aware of some of his greatest accomplishments?
No, I'm
in
not.
general?
Can you inform me, please?
So first, the definition of hero is a person who's admired or idealized for their courage, outstanding achievements, noble qualities, right?
Okay.
It's very subjective,
Yeah.
right? But I say he's an American hero because he's done so much for the American people in terms of just reinstilling our confidence, educating us on the founding fathers, going against the normal narrative that America's established by a bunch of racists who didn't know what they're talking about. And he brought a lot of pride back in it. But I mean, he started Turning Point USA, has presence on 3,500 campuses across the nation, over 1,000 active chapters. He led the Black Leadership Summit, which is the biggest summit of conservative blacks to go to the White House and visit the White House. Same thing with young women. I don't think it was the largest one for young women. It was 5,000 women or so. He led an event with 21,000 students, that just a big conservative get together. Let's talk about politics. He invited gay people on the stage. He invited trans porn stars on the stage to present their argument and to give them an opportunity to speak. So I think all those things are in the very essence heroic American, and he ended up dying. I mean, he took great risk every single time he went out and spoke.
That sounds more of a philanthropist to me, in my opinion. That he was he connected with the youth, yes, and he was willing to talk to people. But I don't think that he was a hero because he was willing to connect with kids that. That is
more
a
than just
teacher.
connecting.
That is a dean. That is very many people in our lives touch us in that way of okay, that's a teacher. It's very many things, and I don't feel like that is okay to call him a hero for things that he was just more willing to post online, that many people would just keep offline and just say I'm willing to do this just because I am a good person and this is where my morals lead me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole online aspect is what built the following and made the movement significant, made what he did significant. I mean, he had lots of charity events that he wouldn't talk about. He had donated tons. I mean, he talked about as Christians we're called to donate and everything. So he did a lot of just general philanthropy stuff, like you said. But he also was just the leader of a movement and entitled, brought in free speech in a point when I think the country was more divided than ever. And his whole ideal with it was, if people stop talking, if you stop talking in marriage, you get a divorce. If you stop talking in church, the church splits apart. If you stop talking to people who disagree with you, it's easier to commit violence upon those people.
Yeah.
And sadly, that's what ended up getting him killed.
Yeah.
So I think he bridged a lot of gaps in America, and I think that was just very American, very heroic.
I feel like he also, in those bridges, he also created a lot more divide. I do feel that he was...
I can understand that.
Yeah. And like that's just like my view of it all, and I like that's why I'm here talking to you, is because I want to understand your view better, because I don't think that like his view bridged some things, but he also had some crazy things to say that built gaps further even more and divided people even more in other areas. That like so like it's like you take a step forward and you're taking 3 steps back in another area.
So I would completely flip that on its head. I would say he spoke for 3 hours a day, every day for like at least 5 years. And out of all of that speaking, people have pulled lots of clips out of context to make him look racist, sexist, homophobic, whatnot. But if you actually look at the full context of what he would say, it couldn't be any more different. So I would say that Charlie was trying to unite, and people, particularly people on the left, were trying to work against him by framing him to look bad.
See, you're trying to create groups, and that's the big problem. Is that there's no groups. We're American people, and it's left. It's not left or right.
Well, I mean,
it's
Who's
American people.
smearing Charlie Kirk's legacy? People on the left or people on the right?
That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
I mean,
that doesn't.
it does.
That doesn't matter. Why does that matter? We are all American people. We all are here for the same American dream, and we are here trying to do our best. Left or right, stop trying to divide us. Stop trying to divide us. That's a narrative that you're trying to create. That is
I'm
not
not trying
true.
to create anything. We have
Yes,
a very,
you are.
We
You're buying into a narrative
have
that
a
there's
completely
left and right
bipartisan-
people, and we are just one person.
we have a bipartisan system in America.
Yes.
Where the Republican and the Democrat Party are ruling overall. Okay. And there's a lot of versus. What he's trying to say is, all right, we're in these echo chambers. We're not talking to each other. We need to connect those dots, right? I think that was very noble. Got him killed. But I mean, you want to talk about different good things he said. So I mean, Charlie Kirk came out and said that we believe all forms of racism are evil and awful in 2022. He said whenever a ambassador for Turning Point USA was seen associating with a white nationalist, he said that is abhorrent and un-American.
Yeah, but you just said that these points don't matter because that they could all be pulled out of context.
No, but these are the good things he said. It's like this is like the
but that doesn't. You just said that doesn't
saying.
matter though. That his things could be pulled out of context,
I'm
and
saying,
that like that his bad things. So you can't use that same logic for his good things. You can't say, oh,
That's
like he
not-
said these
that's not
good
where I'm
things
going.
in these contexts. He's also said these bad things in this context, and you just can't. Like, if I came up with my notes also, it'd be like, I could pull bad things that I think he said terribly. I think everything has to do with context, and I just really don't appreciate that you're trying to, like, still divide.
Are you disagreeing that there's a political left and a political right in this country?
I don't disagree with that, but that doesn't shape who we are.
Then why is
as a
it wrong
people.
for him to recognize that?
It's not wrong for him to recognize
Well,
that, but
they're
it's
saying that he's
wrong to
divided.
say that, oh, the left is who is smearing his name, and that's
Well,
the
who
whole
else
big
is it?
problem.
Who else would be smearing his name?
Just people.
Yeah.
We are all
Individuals
people
who identify with the left.
See,
Who was celebrating
Stop
his
trying
death?
to divide us, though. You're still in the narrative of, I want to unite us all, but you're still dividing and putting people into groups. That's not okay.
Yeah.
There's no groups in
I was
America.
talking
We're
about this
all
earlier with somebody else, right? Who was wanting to sign up for. We're starting a Turning Point USA club here, by the way, chapter. If you want to sign up, I was talking with somebody about this earlier. When he first got assassinated, everybody's like, "Oh, the left killed him. The left did this. Left did this." It's like, whoa. Let's not blame the left, right? This is an individual, right?
Yeah.
And there's all these debates about violent left, violent right, who's more violent. I don't care, right? It's an individual. But we have to recognize whenever we do a poll, and the majority of people who self-identify as being on the left say that political violence is acceptable and sometimes even endorse it, versus a Republican who say like 33% of the time it might be acceptable. There is a divide here, and it's our use to categorize people and analyze the data, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But
I think there is something wrong with that.
I came out and I condemned.
Us putting labels on people and saying that, like, oh, I look at you and you're far right. You know what I mean? Like, how do we justify what is far right anymore? And there's so many, like,
Well, Alex
labels
Jones is
like,
far right. Like there's a political spectrum. There's
yes,
characteristics
of
and everything that
course,
go with that.
of course.
Nothing wrong with accepting that. Nothing wrong with calling it
Yeah.
out. But it is wrong, just like in racism, to say all black people are this. Okay, no, you can't do that. That's wrong.
Yes.
Right.
So you
can
can't
acknowledge
say
you can
all
acknowledge
far-
truths, but you can't say all.
Yeah,
but he's
but
not
that's what
saying
you were
all
saying.
left. He's saying people on the left. So there's a significant difference there.
Yes. I don't think, like, trying to divide it into left or right is not what we should be doing at the end of the day.
I agree.
Then why do you keep on bringing up that point?
Because you brought it up. You said that he like demonized people on the left.
I did not say that he demonized people.
How do we get to this point?
You were talking. You're really good at gaslighting. It's a really good point that you have here. Like that.
I'm bad at remembering. Might be one thing.
Oh, okay.
How did we get here?
We were talking about how that like the fact that like not everything that he said was good, and that like how you were talking about how like things that were out of context, and that like left liberals tried to
People
smear
who
his name.
self-identify as being on the left are smearing his name.
Yes, but
that's
I wouldn't
just the
consider.
truth.
I
That's
wouldn't.
just a truth claim.
I wouldn't consider myself fully left though. And
I'm
like
not saying that you're left or right.
Yeah,
I don't know who you are.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know who you are either.
And
like,
I don't hate you.
Yeah.
If you were far left, I wouldn't hate you for it.
Yeah,
That would be
exactly.
wrong. Charlie would do the same thing.
Yeah.
That's why he would invite people he disagrees with vehemently, trans porn star, onto a show to debate and talk to him. Right? That is the definition of unity.
Yeah.
Very much in the American spirit.
Yeah. All right. It was nice talking to you. You have a good rest of your day.
You too. Sir. 1 second. You can come here. It's okay. No, I'm here. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Well, it's going to be on audio.
That's beautiful. You want to be on audio and video too?
Yeah.
Okay? So, you can do all this.
Yeah.
Only thing we're going to say, you got to put the sign down or remove the sign from the thing. Because
It's
you
my
didn't-
sign. It's a freedom of expression.
But you didn't get permission from
I didn't get permission to set up the table, so I took down the table.
Okay, but the sign has to go down. That's all we're asking.
Does my shirt have to go down?
No. You can still talk. You can still be on video.
Okay.
You can do all that. The sign has to come down because you didn't get permission. This is still a private
Who's
institution.
marketing?
OC.
I talked to campus events. I talked to all those people. All these people have signs out here. They didn't get approval from marketing.
That's a department that's in the school.
Yeah.
What department?
I'm a student. I pay to go here. $35,000 a year, by the way.
Understandable. Did you get permission from marketing? That's all right.
No, nobody told me to get permission from marketing.
Okay,
They said
so-
25 live, and
okay.
they said to talk to these certain people.
Okay, so now I'm saying from marketing because marketing is aware of this, which they don't have an issue with that. You can talk.
Clearly they do.
No,
If
they
I
have
can't
an
have a
issue
sign.
with the sign. That's all it is.
They're Charlie Kirk.
All they're asking is you put the sign down. That's it, and you can still talk to everybody you want to.
To please you, I will do it, but it's wrong and you know it. All right, everybody. Free speech isn't allowed on UIW, so the sign has to go down. The sign has to go down. I'm not allowed to put it at a table. I'm not allowed to have people sign up for this. And that's what you're paying to do at a $35,000 a year university. Right. It's private property. They can do what they want, but it's still wrong to silence people, and they know it. That's okay.
He's allowed to be here, but he's not that guy.
Would anybody else like to talk about Charlie Kirk?
The sign cannot be up. We're allowing him to be here.
As like a fellow student, I have a club, and we also have to go through our own things. And we are allowed. There's just things you have to do, applications.
I went through all those proper channels I could, right? I went on 25 Live. They said you have to have an organization. I talked to them. They said, okay, well, you can't have an organization until the spring. I'm going to come out here and talk to people. I don't care.
Whoever still
I
wants
try to
to
do it
stand here
properly.
and talk to them, by all means, go ahead and do that. All we're asking for from UIWPD is don't incite them, don't get angry. If you feel you're getting angry, just walk away. It's his freedom of speech, just like it's y'all's. But we're asking
It's
y'all
your freedom
to
of
not
speech
incite
as long as
anything,
UIW
okay?
approves it.
Like I said, okay, so if y'all don't want to be here, y'all can walk away, enjoy y'all's day. If y'all want to be here and hear what he has to say, go ahead, okay?
Is there any questions?
Huh?
Do you have any questions?
Nope. Thank you.
If you have any problems, just let us know.
I appreciate it. It's not the person against y'all. I know y'all have policies.
Yeah,
Y'all
I
have policies.
understand. We understand too. There's just different things that have to go through because it's private property.
I understood, yeah. Honestly, I thought I was going to get arrested and kicked off in 10 minutes.
No, so the thing is,
worst case scenario.
The worst case scenario is if you weren't allowed to, you got permission, nothing like that, if you weren't like causing a disturbance and all that, we can't ask you to leave.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, if you say no,
Then it's trespass.
then it's trespass.
Yeah, totally understand. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, would anyone else like to talk?
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead. Get ready to wait.
We're still going. The topic is Charlie Kirk was an American hero. Changed my mind. Oh, you're my twin, dude.
No, I just.
You got any girl out than that? Can we be
I was gonna shave last
for the
night.
twinsies?
Logan Edwards.
Brendan Haggerty.
Brendan Haggerty.
Hi.
I think Charlie Kirk was wrong saying that the United States was founded as a Christian nation.
Yep.
And that even if that was true, that is something that Christian values themselves are undefined. And so it doesn't necessarily give us a functional thing to base the United States off of, whether that's morally, whether that's politically, in whatever sense of the way that he meant it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, except for, I mean, he had a whole argument caked out about how the original states actually required you to be a Christian, be sworn in as a Christian if you were going to serve in office. There was like 9 out of the 13 colonies.
I think it was more.
It was maybe even more. And then all of our morality, all of our laws originally were based, I mean, the very idea that all humans are created equal is based in the Christian religion. But I'm totally with you. He had, a weight that he would measure against on, separation versus of church and state. But I mean, like, he would have people come up and say, hey, gay people are not allowed to be in the conservative movement, right? You how dare you be a Christian and conservative and you accept these gay people? And he'd say, no. Politics and my personal beliefs are completely separate. You're welcome in. That's un-American. That's unconservative. We need to allow these people to come and talk. What you do at night and what you do it with doesn't concern me in politics.
But are you agreeing or disagreeing that the United States itself was founded on Christianity
I would
and Christian
say,
values?
I mean, the Constitution says God, the word God in it, like 4 or 5 times.
You know
I mean,
where?
There's,
Because I know the only part of the Constitution that I'm aware of when it was originally written, where it mentioned God at all, was when it said that that they shall not require religious tests to be part of any part of somebody coming into office. Because Charlie Kirk was right.
Because the states
that in
wanted
the
that.
original they did want that.
Yeah.
But when the U.S. was founded, they took that away in order to make the United States a more secular nation
Yeah.
than the parts of it that were originally not.
Yeah, I'm unsure of the exact use in all 4 or 5 instances, but just the fact that it was there, and then our moralities line up very much with like the Ten Commandments and such, and again, the whole idea of free speech. So I think all those principles are very much there, but there is a recognition of separation versus church and state, and I think he recognized that, right? He would have more of a nuanced thing. He maybe would advocate for more church representation, but
I think that was a
he
big thing
separate.
too, is that he advocated for Christian values, but the only Christian values that he advocated for was a specific interpretation of Christianity, stemming from a specific version of Christianity, stemming from the specific Bible that he used in the specific context that he happened to find himself in.
I think well, I mean, let's be real. I mean, we had slaves after we founded the Constitution, which is completely unbiblical.
Yeah.
Right? That's a whole other debate, but it's not biblical.
I disagree with that. I think it is biblical.
Okay. That's a whole other debate. But we clearly did things that were for and against the Bible. It was the basis, and it was just general rule Christianity. We didn't have like extreme things from this sect of religion or this sect of religion. But I agree with you in the subjectivity of it all, and that's where we keep separated.
I think that's where I'm coming from, though, is the actual functional application of what is now called Christian nationalism is dangerous and harmful. Not only does it marginalize people, but it moralizes things specifically based off of a specific moral framework from a specific interpretation of Christianity.
Yeah.
And I think that's my biggest issue with it.
Reasonable issues. I would love for you to have got to debate with Charlie Kirk on those things.
That would have been great.
But he's no longer with us.
Yeah.
It's not a big personal stance of mine. I'm not like huge on that. I do think it's largely what made America so great to begin with. But
I think that was one of his main things, though. I mean, at least the way that people portrayed him was as a prominent Christian nationalist.
Yeah,
You know?
he advocated for Christian principles being the law. Absolutely. And I don't fully agree with all those arguments. I don't know all of his arguments on those things, but that was what
Do
he
you
argued
personally
for.
think that Americans should be following Christian values, and what would that mean?
No,
to you?
I don't think we should force any citizens to follow a religion's doctrine. I think we have to work through logic and stuff, but I do think we get best good outcomes when we go to a religious source like Christianity over just secularism.
Which version? Because you brought up the slavery example. You said it was unbiblical.
Yeah.
Many people would disagree with that. In fact,
Yeah.
people prior to the abolition did not think that slavery was unbiblical, which is found in the biblical text. You find it all
They
throughout
justified
the
it
Old
with
and
the
New
Bible.
Testament.
They justified it with the Bible, and then up north they were saying why it was wrong through the Bible, right? So there was a definite conflict there. I don't know. I don't have all the verses memorized. I have all the reasons memorized, but there was just an argument that that I think deserves to be in the public space.
I think that would be the issue with saying that America was not only founded but should be continue to be based off of Christian values, is those values are undefined and subjective. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Perhaps, yeah.
Okay. We don't disagree then.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I was saying
Charlie Kirk was an American hero. Hi, how's it going? You cheated. You read my notes.
Well, I just, breeze over.
You're fine. You're fine.
So what are we talking about?
My name's Logan, first time.
My name's Ayana.
I'm talking about Logan. Shay. Talking about how Charlie Kirk was an American hero.
Right, why do you think that he was a hero?
A hero is someone who is admired for their courage, their noble qualities, their grand achievements. He was a best-selling author of 7 books. He started an institution with 250,000 members in it. He started Blexit, which has 100,000 conservative black people in it. Did a huge, he did the biggest organized group to go to the White House of black conservatives. Same thing with women. It did not specifically the White House, but had an organization for like young women leaders.
Yeah.
He did a lot of
of
positive things in
yeah.
the community, and they were all very. He wanted to counter the argument that America is like the worst place on earth, which is becoming more and more mainstream. And I think he was really trying to bring us back down to our roots. Say, hey, no, we are the greatest nation in the world.
Right.
And I think that's what makes him the greatest.
But do you think the greatest nation in the world would be assassinating people?
I don't think so.
Right.
But it's happening in all countries. I mean,
I also feel like a lot of his views about being the greatest country in the world are centered around like conservative values that that promote the opposite of idea of what America's foundation is. Like America is a melting pot. The foundation of America is built off of black people, immigrants, Mexican, Filipinos, Asians, all the people that came from New York, and we learned about it in history, 17 and 1800s.
Including Europeans and white people that
who are also not from
Native
America.
American.
100%. Well, so, I mean, he drew a clear definition between settlers and immigrants, right? Settlers come and they build a country. Immigrants move to a country that's already built. He was very pro-legal immigration, just against illegal immigration, because it makes our citizenship mean nothing.
Right.
And it opens us to, like, just for real risk.
Right.
Domestic risk.
Yeah. But I feel like a lot of what would be considered illegal immigration is just kind of seen as like a lot of those people who are seen as illegal immigrants, they're in the process of becoming legal citizens.
They crossed the border and they didn't even try with us,
But
right?
those are specific cases, and that's not a lot of the cases. Those are not the only cases.
I mean, we didn't allow 20 million people to come in through the border under Biden. They just came in. So that is as undocumented as illegal immigration.
Yeah, but there's a process that they go through in order to do that. You have to cross the border.
But you
no
can't-
matter what border that you cross, there's always going to be that initial, you have to get into the
Yeah,
country.
you don't
But
cross
then you
the border
start
and
legal
then start the process.
And then
You start
become
the
a
process
citizen,
and then
a lot of
cross.
the reasons that they're not able to become citizens is because they're like faulting them in the process. They're making them unable to like go through what they're trying to go through in order to become citizens. So
Did you know that America brings in more refugees and immigrants than any other country in the world combined?
I think that's
We're
been
also-
like that since America started.
that's the point.
Right.
That's kind of the point.
We're already
of
bringing
America.
in so many.
We're also
but if
the largest country in the world as well,
Yeah.
so it would make sense
Well,
that
that's
most
not true.
people
We
would
got
come to
huge
this
other
country.
continents. But I mean, Africa's
I said the
bigger than
largest
the US.
country, not the largest continent, though.
Well, that's fair. Russia. I don't know how like the population shakes out there, but yeah, I mean, we bring in immigrants. We welcome immigrants. A Muslim immigrant made this shirt for me. He was a big fan of Charlie Kirk. Saying he's
Do
a
we
Puerto
welcome
Rican.
immigrants?
We 100% do. Like I said, we take in more than half. We take in more immigrants and refugees than anywhere else in the country, anywhere else in the world, any other country in the world combined.
So can I ask you a question? So since Charlie Kirk, I don't even feel, it's a fact that Charlie Kirk was not the first person to be assassinated for speaking about his politically.
Can you wait, please?
Right. He, like she said, he was not assassinated because he was not a public figure. A lot of what he did was just political debate in public places where there's people like Martin Luther King who started the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
There's Malcolm. He's not the first person to be assassinated is the point I'm trying to say. And there's many other people who I feel like may have made more of an impact, especially morally, and especially aligning more with, like I was talking about, with the staple of America and how that ties into immigration, who have made more of an impact than Charlie Kirk as far as being a hero. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, so if you feel like Charlie Kirk was an American hero, especially being
achievements
assassinated,
are on a spectrum.
then do you
There's
feel that
people
way
achieve
about
more,
Martin Luther
achieve
King?
less.
Do you feel that way about Malcolm
Yeah, I
X? Do you
did
feel
read
that?
a little bit of your notes on Martin Luther King. So how do you tie that into your
Yeah,
debate
so
today?
Charlie got a lot of criticisms for saying that. I'll get the quotes right here. I don't want to misquote him. He said MLK was awful. He's not a good person. He said one thing that he actually didn't believe, and that was, I have a dream that my 4 little children one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. He said we made a huge mistake when we passed the Civil Rights Act in the 1960s, and the federal courts just yield to the Civil Rights Act as if it's an actual American Constitution. So he had lots of bases to say that way.
Yes.
So did you know?
A lot of negative opinions about a person who.
Well, he said a lot of positive things, but people don't talk about the positive things. He specifically,
you didn't talk about the positive things.
I have quotes about him. Okay. He said lots of positive things about everybody, but those aren't the things that get clipped, right? I was talking earlier. He talked for 3 hours a day for like 10 years. And people are pulling out like 20 quotes out of context, and they demonize him, right? I don't think that's fair to his character.
So can I stop you right quick?
Yeah.
Your poster says change my mind, but a lot of your responses to what we're saying are just counter arguments. You're not really responding with an open mind.
Yeah.
You're kind of like deflecting what we're saying and trying to.
I don't have such an open mind. My brain falls out.
I
have to defend my logic.
I feel like you should speak more openly and respond more openly rather than just trying to like deflect on what we're saying and prove us wrong.
Not deflecting.
Because
I'm telling you what he said.
responding to you by saying, "Oh, this is wrong. Here's A, B, and C." We're hearing what you're saying, and I don't.
You're
feel
telling
like
me that him being an American hero is wrong.
Maybe respond differently to what we're saying.
These guys are really trying to
continue,
silence
but
me
respond
here.
differently, please.
I won't be responding any
and
differently.
You don't have to respond so literally and rudely. I'm not talking about your brain's gonna fall out. Just be open-minded.
I don't have to be nasty. I'm so sorry.
You don't have to be negative.
I'm coming from a very loving place. I love Charlie Kirk. I love his
that's not how it's
ideas. I
sounding,
love the people he represents.
All right.
And so I want to represent him well. That's the whole
You can
point
do
of
that
this.
open-mindedly. Without being smart.
I have an open mind, and I had an open mind when I did the research, but now
I'd
I'm here.
love to hear that, because that's not what I'm hearing right now.
Well,
but continue.
You cut me off. Do you know what MLK's approval rating was when he was alive?
It was also the 1960s.
Exactly.
You have to consider the time.
Do you know what his approval rating
when
was?
civil rights weren't even literally established, maybe until a couple years after his death.
So there were huge civil rights movements before his death. Like 1960,
Of course.
1961, 1962. Before they even had to like sit into the bus station, they had huge progress in that, right?
Of course.
But his approval rating was 33%, right? And you can attribute that to whatever you want. But now his approval rating is 94%. 2011 was 94%. He's elevated above Jesus, right? People think more highly of MLK's than Jesus. But he cheated on his wife up to 40 plus times, was accused of several rapes, prostitution. He got kicked out of his church in 1961. Not kicked out. He got demoted and then left and/or
What does that have to do with civil rights?
That's
though?
what I was going to say.
It's a critique against who he was,
Right.
because
a lot of people don't have
his
great
character's
character.
been so inflated.
Similar to Charlie Kirk, a lot of people do
Similar
not
to
have.
the president.
A lot of people
I
do
think
not
he had
have
great
good character yet. They still fight for things that they believe is right, such as civil rights.
You just
Charlie
said-
Kirk is also fighting for things that he believes is right, such as.
Would you say that
Well,
MLK was a
also having a
hero?
lot of faults as well. Yes, I would say
Yeah,
I'm okay with
he did
that.
a lot of.
But he had flawed character. He did
Exactly.
bad things. He
As
said
well as
bad
Charlie
things.
Kirk.
Exactly.
So did Charlie Kirk.
Would you mind
Exactly.
giving
So I
me
would say he's an American
some
hero.
examples of the same way that
They were
you
just
put
very
Martin
much
Luther
fighting
Kirk
for
like
different
Charlie
things.
Kirk?
So
Yeah,
I don't
No,
think
they're
that's.
fighting for the exact same thing. They're fighting for the exact
Are
same
they?
thing.
Well, Martin Luther King was fighting for civil rights of the black people, while Charlie Kirk is fighting for what exactly?
Civil rights of all people.
Right.
That
But
was
Martin
his
Luther King
whole
was fighting for civil rights of black people because it wasn't legal. Whereas it's legal now, and what Charlie Kirk is
What do
fighting
you
for
think
is
that-
already legal.
This is a
He's
direct quote
fighting
from
for civil
Charlie
rights
Kirk.
of all people, but it very censors white supremacist ideas. So what exactly is he promoting? Because it's already in place. It's already in the system. Martin Luther King was fighting for something that was not already in the
He was
system.
critical of MLK's policies because they were socialistic in nature, right? So the Great Society Act created this whole welfare state, which is, he said, harmed the black community more than anything, that the black community is worse off because of these laws. He agreed with the reason, with the intention behind the laws, but the execution was horrible. Created this reparation state. It created the welfare state that has driven single motherhood rates in the black community from 20% all the way up to 70% in the same stride that the Civil Rights Act has made so much. The crime rates for blacks have gotten worse and worse. And he just gave a different attribution to that. He gave a different reasoning for that. It was his argument. But I mean, this is a quote directly out of Charlie Kirk's mouth. You will never be the best version of yourself if you allow other people to convince you that you can't be better because of your skin color, because of your sexual identity, and because of the community you came from.
It's
you
not
must
really
resist
allowing-
those narratives at all costs if you truly want to be successful in America.
I feel as though it's not allowing other people to have those views about you. I feel like it's a system that oppresses that people of color or non-white people to feel that way. Like as far as like job opportunities, do you have anything to add? Job opportunities, how much money that we make compared to white people, opportunities, living environment, social environments like houses, communities, neighborhoods that are over-policed because of those views that are pressed onto us by white people.
I
don't feel as though it's as people are, you can't allow yourself to flourish if you have those views in yourself. It's not that we view ourselves like that, it's the system pushes that onto us. The system pushes that onto us.
And another thing that Charlie Kirk was trying to shine a negative light on is DEI and things like that, but those were put in place because minorities were already being oppressed. We needed tools.
He agreed
like
with
DEI.
the opportunity side of that completely.
Right.
But he didn't agree with the outcome side of that. So there's a massive lawsuit in New York. There's $1.8 billion payout.
That's not preventing
because they had a
other
teacher's
people
test
that are not
where black
minorities
people
from
were
getting
scoring lower than other races. They had to pay out $1.8 billion, and it was justified through the Civil Rights Act. So he had like socialist. It was a government way that we should run the government argument against MLK, as well as his character. But
you keep talking about MLA's character, but what about Charlie Kirk's character? Because a lot of the things and a lot of the flaws that you pointed out, MLK, can also be applied to Charlie Kirk, can also be applied to the President of the United States, who has 34 felony counts against him and has not seen a single day in jail.
Yeah, why not?
You get what I'm saying?
Why not?
Because the system allows him to do that.
Because
he's
the
a white
judge
man
didn't
with
give him
money.
anything.
Because he's a white man with money. Because he's a white man with
but
money.
I think that's
but if
the-
it was a black
that's the
president,
victim
if it was
mindset
a
that
black
he was
candidate
against.
president running for president with 34
Yeah.
felony counts against him, he would have not even been a candidate. Does that understand what I'm saying?
Do you
So
think?
what exactly is your point? And as
Do
far
you-
as immigration, you want to talk about illegal immigration, but the natives are on this land first.
You
This
can't-
is
you
not
can't take
our
on, like,
land. The
5 different
natives,
topics
the
at
natives.
once.
You are
Let's
taking
tackle-
on 5 different
let's
topics
talk-
at once.
let's tackle
We were
Trump.
talking about MLK and civil rights, but then you want to
brought
talk
up
about how
Trump.
he cheated on his wife and how that goes
Yeah,
against
that was
Jesus.
that's what he
What
was
is
saying
those,
about it.
how do those tie together?
Because you were critiquing Charlie for saying things bad about MLK. I told you what he said that was
I
bad
didn't
about
say
MLK.
that. You said that in
was
your notes.
certified. Y'all were saying that. Y'all
No,
were
you-
saying
you
he
read
was
that in your
critical of
notes.
MLK. All right, well, this is why.
Okay.
Right? I'm just reading you his logic. Right? That's
He's
not just me
critical of
trying
MLK
to...
for things that don't have anything to do with politics.
He's critical for the things that do have something to do with politics.
But
Remember
they
I
don't.
said-
So cheating
I said
on his
that-
wife has to do with politics?
No, the Civil Rights
MLK's
Act.
private life
the
does not
Civil
have
Rights
anything to do
Act
with his
private
allowed
life.
us to create DEI, which he was very much against. It created a welfare state.
Martin Luther
The
King was
voters,
against DEI?
The Voters
Can you say
Act.
that again?
Huh?
Is that what you're saying? Did you
He
just
was
say
for-
Martin Luther King was against DEI?
No, he's for DEI.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but he's also even more than that because his whole thing was I want people to be judged by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin.
Right.
But we're living. Did you know that in 2021 we had around 320,000 new jobs created in the S&P 100, the top 100 biggest companies in America. 94% went to people of color. 6%, 60% of the population only got 6% of the jobs. That is discrimination. Right?
But don't you
And
think
that's
that was
the
created
discrimination
for
that
people of
MLK
color because of lack of opportunity? That was created for people
You
of
have
color
all the
because
same
of lack of
opportunity.
opportunity.
You are at a school that costs $36,000 a year at a private
But
school.
because I was
You have
privileged because I had a
opportunities.
parent in the military. The person, if I look to my
Serving for
right
the
and is
country.
serving for the country, if
Yeah.
I look to my right and I go to lower class black communities, they don't have the same opportunities that I
They're not
have.
going to
I
the
was
school.
fortunate enough, but that's not a common case.
Again, I'm
so
all
because
for
my
opportunity.
case is unique doesn't mean that that applies to the larger black population. Does that make sense what I'm
Yeah.
saying? There's a smaller black population
do you
in
think
the army
Black
who's fighting for
America
than
has
there are in
gotten worse
America.
since the Civil Rights Act to
No.
modern day?
No.
No. We've definitely grown as a community.
Huh? What?
I'm okay being recorded.
I'm okay being recorded as well.
I'm okay being recorded. I got my water up. I didn't even grab a drink. What were you talking about?
I
What was your
said
last
no. The answer is no to your question. I don't think that people were better off in civil rights era versus
The
modern
poverty
day.
rate, the crime rates would disagree with you completely. We're in a bad point, and everybody's attributing it to the victimization of black people. And he said, if you dive into this victim mindset, you're going to have a bad life. You live in the best country
We
in the
don't
world.
have a victim mindset.
I'm glad you don't. I think it's really harmful. But if you dive into this
It is
victim
harmful.
mindset and you say,
It's also very hard to see yourself as bigger when you're living in a system that constantly oppresses you, and
how have you been oppressed?
I haven't. That's why I don't have a victim mindset.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
But I can give you multiple examples as far as Trump cutting Medicaid and Medicare for lower class and people of color communities.
Yeah.
He is
He cut it for everybody.
He's raising, but who commonly uses those? Who commonly uses that though?
Yeah, so
people of color
that's
and
a
lower
completely
class
different
communities.
political thing. If
No,
you-
it's not.
do you think
just,
stealing is
you
wrong?
just asked me. What are you asking
Do
me
you
right
think
now?
stealing
Because
is
now I
wrong?
feel like we're going in circles.
Do you think stealing is
Like,
wrong? Do you think?
what even was the original question
Do you
before you
think-
even asked me this?
do you
No.
think stealing is
What was
wrong?
the original question?
Let me go down the train of
Something
thought here.
about Trump.
Do you think stealing is wrong?
Of course, stealing is wrong.
Okay. Is taxation, is taking people's money by force through taxes to pay for somebody else's stuff, theft?
But you don't think that people or Americans who make more money should pay more taxes than lower
They
class
already do.
Americans? No, they don't. He's making
They
those tax
absolutely
cuts
do.
for them so they can save
If-
their money and get richer, while people who are in lower and middle classes are having higher tax rates so that they can spend more money and stay oppressed. That's the point of
Totally
making those
different
tax
political
cuts. That's the point of cutting
philosophies on
Medicaid
who's gonna
and
get it.
Medicare for lower class and people of color communities.
Because for people like me, right, who work and make...
White.
See, race.
White and privileged.
Race,
But
privilege.
it's the fact. It's the fact.
You
it's
don't know
America.
me.
America
You don't know
is
that
based-
both of my grandparents were
America's system
born
is
with
based
debt.
in race. There
That
is
both
a
of my
race
parents
competition.
inherited debt.
That doesn't matter.
You don't know anything about me,
That
but
doesn't
I'm
matter,
white
but the point
privileged.
is that you are already privileged. Exactly. Acknowledge your white privilege.
I'm not white privileged.
Acknowledge your white privilege. Acknowledge your white privilege. Acknowledge it.
Okay. I'm very happy
And
for
so
you.
are you.
So,
So Charlie Kirk
let's
was
walk
a
it back
woman.
here.
If a black man was standing in your spot right now, there's no chance. He would probably
Right.
not still be talking.
Right.
He probably would not.
You think...
Right.
I'm sorry,
and
you
if
think...
Charlie Kirk was a
at
black man, he
UIW
would not be getting this much coverage as he is. It would be looked at as another sad
I'm sorry.
case, as another sad. He would be
Did
looked at as a
MLK
number,
get this
another
much coverage?
statistic. Yes,
Yes.
he's in the history books.
Exactly.
He was a
Because
bigger
he was a
figure
symbol
than
of civil
Charlie
rights.
Kirk.
Exactly.
I think they're on the same
He was
level.
a way
They're on
bigger
the same
figure.
level for me.
I'm be honest with you,
telling
I had
you,
no idea
33%.
who that
Charlie
was
Kirk
before he
was.
died.
I'm telling you, a lot of people
I'm
didn't
sorry to
know
hear
who
that.
he
You
was.
should really listen to what he had to say. He was a very wise person.
All I'm
very
trying to
smart.
say is MLK was a larger figure than Charlie Kirk.
Right.
That's subjective.
For a much
I-
bigger
good
movement,
for you.
as far as civil rights as following slavery, and
That's
Charlie
not
Kirk talks
subjective.
about what exactly?
That's not
You
subjective.
can hold a higher opinion of MLK than Charlie Kirk.
I'm
That's
not saying
that's
I hold
totally
a higher
fine.
opinion. I'm telling you a fact. MLK was a larger figure than Charlie Kirk.
That's
Right.
subjective completely.
It's
If
not,
his
though.
approval rating was 33% when he was alive, was he really a larger
But
figure?
you also have to consider the time period of that time. That's what I'm trying to say. He was fighting for civil rights, something that
Again,
black
but you're
Americans
saying
did not
factually
have.
he was a larger
That
figure.
Black
I'm
people
telling
weren't
factually
even
he's not,
considered
and now you're
Americans during the
justifying
time that he was protesting for civil rights. So of course his approval rating, or whatever you're calling it, is going to be low considering the time period. Does that not make sense to you?
Do you think his approval rating has anything to do with him cheating on his wife, presumably
What do
over
those
40
two things
times?
have to do with each other?
Because it's a bad
His personal
bad
life has
person
nothing
cheats
to
on their
do-
wife.
His personal life has nothing to do with what he was fighting for politically. That's what I'm trying to say.
It has
you want to
everything-
people
it has
want
everything to do
separate
in critiquing
Trump
his character and his person.
felonies and his personal life from what he does in
I'm not
office.
talking about
But
Trump, I'm
he's
talking about
also
Charlie
a bad
Kirk.
person.
When we
He's
talk
also a
about
bad
Charlie
person.
Kirk, no one talks about his private life.
Exactly. So
what do you
keep
mean?
bringing
Tons of
that up
people
that he
do.
cheated on his wife?
That's not what we're talking
Please
about. We're
tell
not
me
talking
how cheating on
about
his
Charlie
wife
Kirk's private life.
Also,
connects
I'm
with-
talking
you don't talk about his private
messages.
life because he didn't cheat on his wife 40 times, right? We
How do
talk
you know
about
that? Did you know Martin Luther King?
no. There's people who've written
Exactly.
books about him.
But you read that online. That doesn't mean that it's true, though.
There's a Pulitzer winning.
What
All right, I'll pull it up. I got you. The Myth of MLK was the show he talked about it on. He was, by the way, he had a black person on there on the show with him,
But a
who
black
was also
person doesn't
against
mean automatically-
who was also against MLK, right? So he's trying to give that other side. Somebody wrote a book. I hope I put his name down here. David Garrow wrote The Bearing the Cross and got a Pulitzer Award for it
What year?
as a historian. I don't know what year it's from.
I
But
feel like that's important in the
he
context.
documents the already well-established affairs that he had. The multiple affairs. The numbers differ, but up to 40 plus 45. And he talks about the rape documents and their participation in prostitution. Right. So there's a Nobel or a Pulitzer Prize winning historian who puts this critique out of him. Now this is what Charlie Kirk had to say about him. Ask yourself, why is exposing the flaws of MLK's life and character something we said we should judge by others so controversial? His American he has become has America become more colorblind and merit-based the more we worship King?
If we're judging people based off of their personal life, why do
What
we
else do you judge somebody off
Why
of?
do we have a president like Donald Trump in office right now?
I don't agree. I'm not talking about Donald Trump.
Okay,
I don't
well-
agree with everything Donald Trump has done. But he did just create peace in the Middle East, by the way, which is a little bit of a big deal.
Which immediately after the Israel bombed Gaza, immediately when the
No, they did. The
Yes,
ceasefire
they
is
did.
still stable.
The ceasefire doesn't mean that they weren't
The
still
ceasefire is
attacking.
still
Right
stable.
after
All the
everyone
hostages
started
have been
moving
returned.
back into Palestine,
And
and
then
they
we move
immediately
it.
bombed them again. They ignored that ceasefire. They do not care about the ceasefire. That did nothing.
I feel like you want to talk about personal life with MLK,
I
but
brought
then
up
when
the specific policies
I know,
that he was
and then
against.
when we get to Charlie Kirk, we talk about Donald Trump. You want to immediately shift it.
I'm
back
not
to
talking about Donald
political-
Trump. Say
political stance.
one moral criticism in his private life about Charlie Kirk.
No one cares about Charlie
I-
Kirk's private life.
Plenty of people care about his private life.
But why
Well,
don't
that's
you-
not what we're
Millions of
talking
people.
You have a whole,
about.
but what I'm trying to say is you have a whole. What she is also trying to say is that you have a whole list of personal flaws that MLK did, which have nothing to do with the political message and the impact that he made regarding civil
He's
rights
talking
for Black
about
Americans
how-
following slavery. But whenever we bring up Charlie Kirk and compare him to Donald Trump or whatever, you don't have the same. You don't have a list concerning his personal life and his flaws and what he did that also make these two individuals also a bad person. So when we talk about MLK, you want to highlight his personal life and how he's bad. But when we talk about Charlie Kirk or even Donald Trump, you only want to highlight what they're doing positively, politically, as if Charlie Kirk was
But
even
I'm
a
not.
political
I'm not
figure.
here to
He had
defend
no
either of
political
them. I'm here to
affiliation.
defend Charlie Kirk, and
But we're not talking
I'm
about
here
Charlie
to
Kirk. We're
address
talking about Martin
the
Luther King was cheating on his
controversial
wife.
things that he said and the reason why
But
he
that's
said
not what you're
them.
addressing. You haven't talked about that yet.
I've talked about that at length.
You haven't addressed his controversial things. You've only addressed
Name
the
one
things that.
controversy. Name a controversy he said.
I'm
Let's do
asking
it.
you that because I don't know, but you haven't
But
told me.
why do you
only
hate
talked
him
about.
then?
I never said I hated him.
No one said we
You're
I
up
never
here
said I hated
arguing
him.
with me for like half an hour about how he's a bad
Sir,
person.
you have a mic. You want to talk about we're arguing with
No,
you, but your
none of us-
sciences
none of
changed
us
my
said
mind
we
and
were-
debate with
he was
me.
a bad person.
This is literally the point.
Like,
I'm not
But
arguing with you.
but it-
I'm here doing what you wanted me to do.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking you is, when you have a whole list pertaining to Martin Luther King and his personal life
private
and what
life.
he did, and trying to attain that to what
I'm
he did
defending the
politically,
quote from Charlie
then
Kirk that you
do
brought
the
up.
same thing with Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump.
Yep.
Hold them to that same standard, because when we talk about them, you don't highlight them in the same way. It's contradicting each other.
That's not
So
what I'm here to do.
You
I
talking
can't-
about you were
I can't
addressing
talk
Charlie
about
Kirk
every
and
aspect of American political life.
so. But what I'm asking, you're not hearing me.
I'm talking specifically about
What
Charlie
I'm
Kirk.
asking you is that I'm not asking you to talk about every single thing in their political life. But when we talk about Martin Luther King, you only want to talk about the negative things he did in his personal life. Versus when we talk about Charlie Kirk, you don't address any of the controversial things that he said or done. Because you're asking me to tell you, and I don't know because
I have a
I'm
list
asking
of-
you to
if
tell
you
me.
would- But why are you like confronting me on this? If you
Because
don't
this is a
know
debate,
why,
sir.
Why
This
do
is
you
the
hate?
point.
Why
I
do
never
you
said
not,
I hate Charlie
why
Kirk,
do
and you
not
keep
think
putting
Charlie
those words
Kirk
in
was
my
an
mouth.
American hero?
You don't know what I think.
You said why?
I
is
don't think
Charlie
he was
Kirk
an American hero because he wasn't a public or a political figure. He wasn't. A lot of people, I'm sorry, but a lot of people did not know who he was.
If you're not a political, how can somebody who has over 1,000 organizations across campuses across the entire United Nation or the United States, and you have 350,000 people present, you have 500 employees for a political organization. If he is not a political figure, who is?
Someone who's actually served as a senator, as a mayor, as a governor,
political position.
held a political position, not just organizing
makes you a
organizations.
political
That
figure.
literally what makes you, yeah, exactly.
Holding a political position.
I mean,
He has not.
Good for you. I mean, if that's how you define a political figure, then sure. But I mean, there's tons of people. Is Ben Shapiro a political figure?
No.
Again, somebody I don't know who that is.
No.
No.
No idea who. Stephen
He
Crowder.
never held a political position.
Walsh.
No, exactly.
They hold.
These people have never held.
What do you
political
call
positions.
people who talk about politics all day and have a group of people rally
People
behind
who
them?
like to talk.
A debater.
Was MLK a political figure?
Yes.
He did the exact same thing. He never held a governmental office.
But he, rather than, sitting in front of college campuses debating people who are in their first year of college, instead, he actually was fighting for rights, trying to
I think
gather...
Charlie was fighting for rights.
What rights?
He's fighting for all people's rights. He was saying,
What
hey,
rights?
hey, we're having
What rights?
we're having girls getting their rights taken away by being able to compete in their own sports without a man who's dressed up as a woman coming in and interfering. We're having babies in the womb killed at 72 million per
Right,
year.
but he
He's-
did say
he's
that
arguing
if
for
he had a daughter
rights.
that got pregnant, or got raped and got pregnant,
Yeah.
he would let his daughter keep the baby.
Yep, that is the logical course.
So
And
how
you-
is that
and
fighting
you're-
for any rights?
He's arguing for the fetus's rights. He's arguing for human rights. It's the most logical.
But you don't think it would be
plain
more
thing.
logical to fight for human rights of people who are actually
Did you not
living
hear
and
the quote I
breathing?
read where he said, if you are holding yourself back because of your skin color, your race, your gender, your sexual identity, then you are not going to prosper.
But that's what I'm saying, sir.
He's
It's not that we're
arguing
holding
for
ourselves back.
people's
The
rights.
system is oppressing us and holding us back. Like what I have been saying, Trump has cut Medicaid and Medicare.
Yeah.
Who commonly uses those? People of color and lower class communities. If Charlie Kirk was fighting for rights, then he would have addressed that for people of color and lower class communities.
He was arguing for the rights of everybody who pays
He fosters a
taxes.
certain audience, and that audience is people who promote white supremacist ideas. Charlie Kirk centers a specific audience. You're talking about he fights for all rights, but he fights for the rights of that audience. He is not fighting for the rights of all people, because if it was all people, he would have entailed, like I keep saying, people of color and lower class communities. He does not center those audiences in a lot of his
April
arguments.
2022, we believe that all forms of racism are evil and awful. 2019, Ambassador was
Just
seen
because
with
somebody
white
says something
nationalism.
doesn't mean
He
that their
severed ties with the
actions
public and
promote
condemned
that
white
idea.
nationalism as abhorrent and un-American.
Like I said, just because somebody says something 2 years, 3 years ago doesn't mean that their actions and their behavior actually center those ideas. He can say whatever
they
he wants to
fully
say.
did.
Like Trump. Trump says a lot of bullshit.
Can you prove
but
to
he
me-
does not actually what's the word? Do that in office.
You keep bringing up Trump. I'm not
Because
here
I'm
to talk
comparing the
about
two.
Trump. I'm
comparing
talking
the
about
two.
Charlie.
But I would
right?
like to compare the
What
two.
has Trump done that is, or what has Charlie Kirk said or done that is racist, sexist, and violent?
Again, I don't know this man. I'm
But
asking
you're sitting here
what we're
claiming
talking-
over and over that he is and that he shouldn't be considered an American hero because of it, but you don't know. You don't know why.
I'm telling you why I don't consider him an American hero, because I feel
Because
like
you
there are
don't know
other
him.
figures who have done and made more of an impact pertaining to all people of America, like I keep saying, lower class and people of color communities that are more of an effect than.
You got some quotes?
American heroes fight for people that need fighting for. White people don't need fighting for.
Okay, so you just graduated, right? Put me in the scenario. You just graduated. You're looking for a job, and you want to work at Apple, right? It's in the top 100. Only 6%. You are 60% of the population. 6% of the seats are reserved for you, and no more.
I don't want to work at Apple.
You're not going to because you're being discriminated against
Right,
actively.
I'm not discriminated against. Like, that's not.
You are.
No, I am not. I am not discriminated against. And he's fighting for people that don't need fighting for. The people that are getting things taken away from them are, like she said multiple times,
What rights
people of
do
color.
you have that she doesn't?
Oh my God. There are so many rights that
Name one.
that I have getting discriminated against when it comes to finding a
illegal.
job.
Racial profiling.
You're right, it might be illegal, but if we're talking
It's
about
incredibly illegal, actually.
our president has done many illegal things and he's still our president.
I would be against those if he got proven to be guilty of those things.
And why do you think he hasn't been proven guilty?
He got charged with the 34 count, and it's in an approval process because the judge said, hey, we're not going to...
And you're okay with having a felon as our president?
It's still in litigation.
Okay.
Right? I'm not for everything that Trump did, right? But he's...
That's
he's my one
understandable.
thing. Samson from the Bible, right? Very imperfect character. Did a lot of bad things, but did a lot of good things for the country, right?
Right.
And same thing with MLK. I think MLK was a hero. You know, he stood up in a time that was really difficult. Charlie said the exact same thing.
Right.
But we have to acknowledge the character flaws. You can't mythologicalize them.
I understand, but what are his character? What are Charlie Kirk's character flaws?
You tell me. That's why.
Exactly, sir. That's the point that I keep trying to make. Whenever we talk about MLK, you want to talk about his character flaws, but when we talk about Charlie Kirk, you don't highlight him in the same perspective.
I think Charlie Kirk got wrong.
Yes, I
Okay.
keep asking you that.
I think he was brash at a lot of points. Whenever he said blacks go prowling to target white people, in context, it was a true fact, right? But inflammatory and generalizing. That was wrong, right? He made mistakes. Whenever George Floyd died, he said the medical examiner said that he was actively overdosing and it wasn't a knee. And he came and said, hey, that's not true. 4 years later, he came and said he was overdosing in real time. He has a knee on his neck. He got that wrong.
Overdosing, he still had a knee on his neck.
He got that wrong, huh?
How does that make him a hero? For his points, his political figure. Why do you think he's an American hero?
That already have rights.
Go ahead and tell me that whenever you get discriminated against when you go to get a job. Or when
Exactly.
Actually, women fall under DEI. A white male.
Again, how does that make him a hero?
That's not what makes him a hero. I'm defending the points that would counter it.
What makes him a hero?
I've been over that several times. He was a best-selling author with 7 million books.
An author does not make you a hero.
I'm not done
what
talking.
What made him a hero?
He created...
Answer the question.
I'm literally answering it if you stop yelling at me.
KKK writes books too. Charlie Kirk being an author does not make him a hero.
Okay. That was my
What
first
made
point
him
of a
hero?
list of 10, so calm down. So he was a best-selling author of 7 books. He created the biggest conservative movement in the United States for a long time, with over 1,000 chapters across the nation. He had 3,500. He had 3,500 presence at different sites. He created Blexit, which has 100,000 African-American conservative people in it. He organized the biggest trip of black conservatives to go to the White House and meet the president. He did the same thing with future young women leaders. Those are all good things for America. You can disagree with him politically, but those are good things.
He died fighting for his cause because he thought that a couple gun deaths a year were worth.
Do you drive a car?
Yes, I do.
How many people die from car wrecks?
I do not know.
I don't know.
But do you
About
think
50,000 a year.
Do you
But
think
is
he
driving
died
worth it?
fighting for his cause?
110%. He died on the premise of free speech. He died as a martyr to free speech and uniting people.
I don't think he united. By your logic, he kept talking about how gun violence deaths are a necessary evil.
Yes.
For us to have the right to bear arms.
He just never
Which
thought he was
means,
gonna be
by that logic, right, he died for what he was talking about, right?
Yes.
100%. And there's an
So,
irony.
so the irony there
The irony.
is important to look at when you
Yes.
look at, oh, there's so many children, literal children being massacred,
Yes.
slaughtered,
Children.
and we don't do shit about that.
Yes.
We do a lot. No, we do not.
We do not. Because if we were doing something, yes.
And you're supposed to look me in the eye.
I got some
That's
quotes for you.
Look me in the eye and tell me he was a hero for getting shot. I don't
Yes.
care.
Well, he's a martyr for getting shot. Nobody's
Children
definitely
protest for the people that have died. It's
People-
shootings. Why is this man so important?
All right, we gotta get audio on the mic, I guess. Let me. I'll centralize it here. Okay. This was his stance on gun control, right? You want to be recorded? You consent
Are
to
you
it?
willing to talk to me?
You
if
consent to
I'm
being
not-
recorded?
I'm not willing.
Okay, then don't talk to me.
See? It's all about the fucking attention.
It's about spreading the message, right?
Only
If I
your
do this in front of 100 students, it only impacts 100 students. But if I do it and I post it and 1 million people see it, my impact is far greater. Okay, there's nothing wrong with me wanting to record this. There is something wrong with you being so powerless.
Do you even go here?
Because that's what we're doing.
Our battery's gonna die in 1 hour after he can talk with him, but right now we need to use our camera.
If you see me on campus, come talk to me. That's not what I'm doing right now, okay? I will get to you, I promise. So on guns, right, he believed that the Second Amendment, all right, then don't talk to me. On guns, he believed that the Second Amendment was necessary to secure our freedom of all of our other rights, and he thought it was a prudent deal.
Yes, Cassandra.
You're good. So the examples he would give, right, what countries removed gun rights immediately before a genocide, right? Whenever a dictator wants to oppress people, they take away their guns, right? You look at Ukraine. Ukraine was going up against Russia, and they've been fighting all this time. The only reason they were able to do that because they had an armed citizenry. Nazi Germany, 1928, they removed the right to firearms. And then they further extended it to even more removing the firearms of Jews. And then we had the Holocaust. In the Soviet Union, 1918, they had the surrender of weapons. And then they had the Great Terror and the executions that killed several million people. The People's Republic of China in 1951 got rid of their guns. And then they proceeded to kill hundreds of thousands, up to 30 million people. There's a lot to memorize. I'm sorry. I'm not a savant. In Cambodia, they have the same thing. Venezuela, Bosnia, and now in the UK, they've removed the right to guns, and now you can be arrested for praying silently outside. Okay, so and that's if your solution is to get rid of guns because you have gun violence. Okay, cool. His solution was we need more guns to get rid of gun violence. Good guys with guns. That was his philosophy. And you're welcome. You would have been welcome to debate him on that and disagree on that. But now he's dead and you can't.
But I
Right?
just feel like-
And these are the points he made. Do you want to be on film?
We aren't asking. I want to be very respectful. I don't
Yeah.
want to disrespect you or anything. We are not asking to take away the Second Amendment. We are asking for more extensive background checks because children are dying in schools.
100% with
They're
you.
dying every single day in schools because these people are going out and buying guns when they have mental issues. When I'm like it's just extremely sad.
It is sad. I'm totally with you.
To be buying guns or buying guns, and there are people.
Can I respond?
The reason that yeah, go ahead.
We do have background checks, right?
Yes.
You can debate on what we need more, what we need less, right? But imagine, like, we're on this camp. We have the privilege of armed guards here,
yes.
right? If there's a school shooter on this campus, they are not going to be able to get them. They can cover maybe 2% of the campus, right? We will die before they get here, right? Why we don't carry gun? We are a Catholic school, a private Catholic school, with all these students gathered out here. We are the absolute target of plenty of terrorist attacks, plenty of gun violence things. And if we had armed students, if we had armed teachers, we'd be able to shut that down faster. Because the reality is, guns are going to come over either way, right? You can 3D print a gun. You can always get a gun if you really want one. Any of the gun restrictions that have been proposed would not have stopped Charlie Kirk's death, right? He was killed by a rifle that wasn't even on their radar. It was a hunting rifle,
yes.
right? So he had different solutions to that, and there is an irony in him getting killed by a gun in the end.
Of course.
Because, he lost the gun rights debate, but he had a different solution, and that's okay. That was his whole idea: is you have a different idea, I have a different idea. Let's talk. Let's reach a middle ground.
So are you saying that we need to bring more guns when so many people are dying from guns?
I would love 30, 50 people out here to have a pistol on their side, right? Because if somebody comes walking across the street and they shoot us, it would be wrong of you to do that, yeah.
Right, it would be wrong.
And it happens. But it happens whether or not you have
That doesn't stop a lot of
guns.
people. Just because it's wrong, that doesn't mean it stop a lot of people. You feel like we need more guns to protect ourselves from gun
Yes.
safety, but the reason that gun safety is a concern is because there are so many guns. So, controlling that and, adding more doesn't solve the problem.
How do you-
Controlling that would alleviate a lot of safety concerns around guns, but the idea of promoting more guns creates more safety concerns.
Getting rid-
The idea of promoting more guns creates more safety concerns.
Getting rid
That is why everyone feels like
getting
they
rid
need
of
to conceal
cars
carry.
would reduce the risk of car accidents to 100%. 50,000 people a year die from car accidents. But it's a worthwhile cost. It is a punitive deal, right? We have to have
But
the
a car
cars to
is a
function.
necessity. A
And
gun
we
is
have-
not a necessity.
But that's your
a gun is not
argument.
a necessity.
He thought, and I think, that the Second Amendment is a prerequisite to all of our other rights.
But
If
the
we
reason
do
you
not
feel
have
like
that,
it's a
those rights go
necessity is
away.
because there's so many of them around. If gun laws and guns were in control, then that would mean that not as many people, especially in Texas, as a concealed carry state, will be just recklessly carrying them.
Again-
And like she said, lack of qualifications.
Again-
So if those were uncontrolled, then a lot of safety concerns surrounding gun control would be alleviated. That's the point I'm trying to make. And I just feel like
How
your
many
point
felons
is
commit
contradicting
gun
itself.
violence every year, even though, because they have a federal charge, they cannot buy a gun?
I have a question that's been sitting with me for a while.
Okay. Do you consent to being filmed first off?
Yeah, sure. Why, like you said, cars are a necessity to live in our society right now. Like, we all probably got to campus either when we moved on or when we were commuting in a car.
Especially cities that aren't walkable.
Why are cars a necessity in our society?
Because we would collapse economically and logistically if we didn't have vehicles.
If we didn't have vehicles?
Yeah.
If we didn't have cars?
Cars or vehicles.
But I'm asking, like,
We
on
could
a systemic
eventually
level, though,
adjust, and we would probably maybe
Right.
work it out. But
on
currently
a
we would
cultural
fall
level
apart.
and on an infrastructural level,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Why are these things impossible to do with guns?
Because
we,
you
we
can
have
3D
we have
print a
seen
gun.
countries that have done this with cars, right? Berlin,
I mean, we've seen them reduce.
Frankfurt. I've been to these places. Vienna. I've been to these cities. I've walked these
The streets
cities.
are really dangerous. They're very
No,
narrow.
they're very safe.
They go by quite fast.
They're very safe.
Several of the European cities have the same.
What makes you think that they're dangerous?
I'm saying
cars
from
driving
personal
around with
experience,
no
these are
regulation.
safe places to be. Like, I've spent months of my life in these places.
I'm sure.
Did you just say that they were dangerous because they had no regulation? Is that what
No,
you
because because cars are
Guns
traveling.
guns have regulation.
So
Guns have heavy regulation.
So if guns had
1 second, everybody. I'm sorry. Test. Ooh.
Yeah, guys, it's freedom.
You saw his son?
He's free.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. Yes, this
I'm saying
view on you saying like about the Hispanics crossing the border?
I'm saying
I actually want to bring that up.
I'd love to hear your opinion.
Yeah. So on guns, right? How many guns do you think came across the southern border unfettered? I don't know. That's the problem. We don't know. Like approximately 20 million.
Are you
people
familiar
came
with
across
the platitude?
with guns and drugs, and we don't know.
Are you familiar with the platitude absence of evidence is not evidence of absence?
What are you saying?
The fact that we have not recorded guns crossing the border does not mean necessarily that there are guns crossing the border.
Are you denying that there's a chance? That there's a
No,
significant
of course
chance?
not. I'm saying America is the largest exporter in the world of firearms.
Yeah.
We have 11 firearms per person in the United States, and that's outdated information.
Yeah. I think that's a great thing.
That's a great thing?
That's a great thing.
So back to my point about infrastructure.
Let me
and
put you back
cars.
over on this. If the Jews had AR-15s, how would the Holocaust go differently?
I don't think it would have gone differently. I don't think it would have gone differently.
What's the reaction here? If they,
why? So
I'm talking about.
Let me bring you. You asked me a hypothetical.
Y'all are too loud. We can't hear.
You asked me a hypothetical.
Did Nazi Germany take guns away from Jews before they killed them?
Yes.
Okay, if they had those guns, how would it go differently?
Jews did have guns. Jews had guns
They were
in
before.
Polish resistance groups.
In all of history of Germany, they were not. They were not people.
Hey, let's focus.
Then why
We
did
have
they
something
to
going on,
pass a
right?
bill to remove the guns.
I got a good point for you.
110%. Yeah. I gotta focus on one person.
Polish resistance groups during the first invasion of Poland, they were primarily composed of Jews living in that neighborhood. They resisted Nazi occupation for months.
How did they do it?
With guns.
With
I'm
guns.
saying, if the expectation is that taking guns will end somehow some armed resistance, then you're wrong. That's not how it works.
Do you want me to read the list of examples I just gave?
About what?
All examples.
Are the list of examples revolutionary groups?
No. All of these countries took guns away from their citizens and then genocided them. Nazi Germany, Soviet Union, People's Republic of China, Cambodia, Venezuela, Bosnia. And in the UK, they just removed guns 30 years ago, and now you can get arrested for praying silently outside. Whenever people cannot defend themselves, they lose their rights. The government will impede on your rights.
The UK banned private, they banned peaceful protesting, and the expectation is that they're supposed to protect themselves with firearms?
Yes.
When
How long has Ukraine been fighting Russia?
When have you seen American peaceful protesters fire on police officers at a peaceful protest?
Never. I would like that to be that way.
So what is the expectation? That the UK, if they had guns, would be doing such a thing?
Are you anti-ICE? You don't like the deportations happening? Okay. If it comes out and they are doing everything they're saying they're doing, they're jumping out of vans, they're grabbing Mexicans because they're Mexicans.
This is a real thing.
Calm down.
San Antonio. We live in San Antonio.
The problem.
Wait, let me finish my point. I got yelled
is
at.
That you're speaking about it as if it's a hypothetical.
But it's not a hypothetical. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to add real world context to this.
So
if ICE is coming around snatching people up, which is controversial.
Why are you saying
controversial if they are or not?
They are. Though.
If they are, then why aren't you out killing ICE agents? Why are you all here at college?
Because we're
if
children.
we're in the middle,
because we're children.
If we are in the middle. If we are in the middle of the greatest civil rights violation in American history, why are you at school and not fighting?
I'll tell you right now. If an ICE agent, if any man attacks me, I'll hurt that person. That's self-defense. That's a matter of self-defense.
Exactly.
The problems that are happening
if you don't have
outside of
guns,
my
you can't
world,
defend yourself against ICE.
Sure.
If they're being tyrannical, you need guns to defend yourself. We're in a real world
we
example
are not,
right now.
Like what Cassandra said, we are not talking about buying back, like stealing your guns. We're talking about buyback programs. We're talking about background checks. We're talking about we're talking about qualifications. We're talking about mental health checks. The problem is that these things are not rigorous. These things are not applied.
That's totally debatable, and we have these things, and
that's
maybe
that's not debatable. That's a fact.
We have background checks. If you're a felon, you cannot buy a gun legally. We have all these regulations.
We are trying to elucidate more.
But that's great. You can debate that all you want. It's a very subjective thing how much we should or shouldn't have control. But we have to. just removing guns in general, I think, is a bad policy. And you're welcome to disagree with me on that.
No,
and it's
I'm
because
saying
of these things.
I'm pro-gun. Clearly, I believe in self-defense as a way to live your life.
Do you believe in
Like,
self-defense against the government?
Yeah, of course.
Then why
I
are
think
you
that
anti-gun?
if you have the capacity to buy a gun and you are mentally ill, or you have the opportunity to hurt somebody who has not done any wrong to you, or who has in fact, you should not be able to own a gun because that is a weapon of mass destruction.
I agree. We need to have.
Right. We are looking for higher
You're
qualifications
welcome
of
to
gun
do
ownership.
that. I have no problem with that.
Of course you
that's
do,
a
though.
fairly debatable thing.
We're not talking.
I think
No one here has talked about taking your guns.
Let's spend the entire conversation. I'm defending the Second Amendment.
Can somebody? Has anybody talked about taking guns from conservatives?
I'm saying.
Raise your hand.
I am open-minded to
Anybody?
more gun regulations.
I'm just confused. I'm just confused.
I'm all for gun regulations, but it's highly
Then what are we
debatable.
talking about?
I'm trying to defend
If you're
the Second Amendment.
if you're
I'm-
pro gun regulation and you believe that self-defense is
would be
important to
against-
our way of life, then we have nothing to argue
I
about.
would be against intense gun regulation
Why?
because it.
What is
all the
intense
lists
to
I
you?
just reasoned.
What is intense to you?
Not allowing us to have AR-15s.
Why do you need an AR-15?
In case the government
For
comes
warfare?
in case ICE comes to take your family for no reason.
I don't need an AR-15 to kill an ICE agent, though. That's not a thing.
You're gonna want one.
Why would I want one?
The AR-15
I'm gonna
is
be in
not a
my
military
home when I'm
rifle.
attacked. I don't need to shoot an AR-15
What does
at
AR
somebody.
stand
That's
for?
silly.
I don't know. Assault rifle?
If you know
Armalite,
anything
it's the
about
name of the
guns, you know an
company. You don't
AR-15
know
is
anything about
ridiculous
guns,
for
I'm
home
sorry.
self-defense.
I was just wondering what
Yeah.
Turning Point's about. What can you tell me about Turning Point?
I'm sorry. Can you consent to being on?
Yeah, that's good.
I'm out here because Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and he's being dragged through the streets. Right?
Yeah.
People are demonizing him. They're pulling his quotes out of context. So I'm here to defend him first off, but also I'm here to gauge interest on a Turning Point USA chapter, right, where we can have these debates. And I don't want just like Republicans in the club. I want liberals. I want people who I completely disagree with, because those are the most interesting conversations I have.
Yeah.
My friend is somewhere at Brendan. He is a atheist, kind of leaning liberal. We hang out and talk for hours. We disagree on everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And it's incredible. I'm so sorry to ruin your social life.
Yeah, I'm just wondering like what it's about. What kind of things are you debating on right now?
I'm debating whether or not Charlie Kirk was an American hero.
Okay. That's pretty hard, but I would say I'm more leaning towards supporting Charlie Kirk. To maybe idolize him or paint him as a hero might be taking it to extreme, but I would say he definitely stood up for a lot of good values that I agree with as a Christian. Yeah.
That's a fair stance.
Yeah.
Hero-dom is very subjective.
Yes.
And I think he's a hero. I think he stood for a lot of really great things. I think he empowered the youth. I think he empowered people of all kinds. And I think that's what made him a hero.
Yeah, some things are, like, of course, very highly debatable, and people are allowed to have different opinions on that, but I think that's really okay. But I'm really interested in Turning Point. I'm a member of Christians United for Israel, so I'm kind of interested, leaning more towards the conservative side, for sure.
What are the things that you do that relates to Christianity?
Yeah, that's really important to me as a Christian. Like, how does Charlie Kirk relate to Christianity? Yeah.
What are you asking?
What kind of things does he do that relates to Christianity?
Christianity. He was a big, like, people call him a Christian martyr. He was a big, I wouldn't say he was a white nationalist. I think that's ridiculous. But a Christian nationalist, yeah, sure. He wanted more Christian values in American government. I think he said that the founding of America was a good thing.
Instead of what he said, what did he do to support that?
He started the biggest.
Oh, I have to go back to class, but thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time. He started the biggest chapter of political conservatives and Christians in the country. In 6 years. Stop talking.
Do you think that as a Christian?
Sorry, she said she was going to go next.
I'll go after you. Okay, so nice to meet you. I'm Isaac, but I'm a Christian. I'm a gun owner, but I am progressive. I'm a liberal. Okay. And what I see you doing, you're speaking in absolutes a lot of the time, right? You know, we're all talking about regulations, and you say, we want to say guns for everybody, right? I don't see.
Not everybody does, no.
Well, yeah, but yeah, like whatever. Look, let's talk about the absolutes, though. What about after the Christchurch shooting in New Zealand? As soon as that happened, there was a mass gun on all the firearms, and after that, there was almost zero gun crime. What do you think about
New Zealand, is New Zealand or Australia? They changed the definition of mass shooting after they did that, and they skewed the stats completely. But there's good and bad examples of gun control, right? I just gave you 10 examples of bad ones, and there's a lot more than this.
When you point out the parts of genocide, do you think those guns would actually stop the genocide?
110%.
Do you think so?
If all the people in Palestine had guns, they would be able to stand up against
do
Israel,
all
and
have
they'd be
guns.
able to stand up against. No, Hamas has guns, and they oppress the people of Palestine. Right? If guns don't help you fight, then why is Ukraine still alive? Why are they still on the map?
Ways are Palestinians able to defend themselves with guns?
You don't have to just ask your own
No,
question.
yeah, no, I agree with that. Even you say the whole Hamas argument. A lot of Palestinians have weapons. How is that going to stop the Israeli army
Hamas
with
has
the
weapons.
Enough with the Hamas propaganda. Okay,
It's not propaganda. It's just a fact.
Okay, whatever. But how are Palestinians going to stop a war funded by Israel, backed by the United States?
How did they pull off October 7th?
How did they pull off October 7th?
Yeah.
What about the Hannibal Directive? You know about the Hannibal Directive?
Like, tell me all about it.
The Hannibal Directive is a directive that the Israeli government put in place that if Israeli hostages or if Israeli victims were not to be saved, that the Israeli government would have to kill them. So make
Are you aware? Are you aware of the general history between Palestine and
Yeah,
Israel?
I do. Started the Nakba in 1947, and then every single massacre after the fact. It started with the Palestinian state was what controlled by the Ottoman Empire, was it not?
Yeah.
And then
Well, I mean, that was a rather
a long
before.
time ago. Yeah. And then what happened with the British Mandate after World War II? The British government wanted to find a place for these Jewish people to go to, right?
Yep.
Then they instated the British Mandate, and then what? Let's think about this. One of the main architects of the Zionist state, Israel Zangwill, he said this. He said, the Judea and Samaria is what he described it. That's the Israeli name for the Palestinian state.
Yeah.
He said, this land is a land with no people for a people with no land, basically dehumanizing the Palestinians that already live there, right?
There's extremists in Israel on both sides.
No, yeah, definitely. You have
That exist.
Smotrich, Ben Gvir, people that believe that Palestinians should be raped and murdered and slaughtered, right? Is there not?
So October 7th, right? The Palestinian people have supposedly been living under extreme suppression. They can't get anything in. They have no food, no weapons, no supplies, and they're being stabbed in the head. They're mega oppressed. How were they able to pull off October 7th to fight against their oppressors? With guns.
Yeah, with guns.
The
yeah.
guns helped them, right?
Yeah.
That was Hamas is the leadership in Palestine, so
Yeah,
it
but they
represents
don't.
Palestinian people.
Don't conflate the two.
I'm fine with separating them.
Yeah.
I know a lot of Palestinians are oppressed by Hamas as well. So, fine with that.
Yeah. Anyways.
But do you think October 7th would have been much worse if the Israeli people weren't armed themselves? Whenever they came in to rape children and rape their wives and their daughters,
you made
put babies in microwaves, do you think that it would have been far worse if Israel was not armed as individual citizens? Because the military was mostly off that day. It was a holiday.
And they took almost 6 hours to get there, so it's more on the Israeli government's fault. But
but the government fails you, and guns are the backup, right? And people die unnecessarily, and it's awful. Charlie always denounced that. He always put out my thoughts and prayers to these people. He would organize donations. He did a lot of stuff, right? But he would say, at the end of the day, we still need guns, as often as it says. He said we should demilitarize our schools, right? We should do metal detectors. We should have armed teachers and students and guards, right? So we had a different solution to the gun problem.
The thing with armed teachers is, you brought up the point saying that we as a Catholic institution need to arm all our students, right? Why?
Not all.
Not all, obviously not all, but
I don't know
most.
half you, but there's a ton of veterans who have signed up to fight against enemies foreign. So why not allow them to protect us domestically?
Of putting them in, when we put them in hands of people that may not be trained with guns, why don't we just put them in more policing for our schools and more safeguards for our schools and not just giving them to?
I'm all for that. I think our cops here are great. They're not enough. Right? If a school shooter, somebody comes out across the street over there, it's going to take some time for them to get to them. And how many people are going to die?
The power of guns and all the laws and stuff, and people have higher qualifications and higher power.
Yes. You can't just give anybody a person a gun and expect them to protect themselves
The reason
from any
you feel
other.
like it's not enough is because too many people who are not qualified own guns. That's why you feel like it's not enough.
That's one solution to it, and that's fine.
Look, I'll tell you something.
No,
she's included.
We've talked enough. I'm sorry, but I can't engage with you anymore.
I just think
you can keep talking.
My main point is this: I'm a gun owner. Okay. I went to go to Attlebridge. I bought an AR-15. I was in and I was out in 10 minutes, and I was terrified of the fact that I was in and out in 10 minutes. Do you think that you should be able to buy a gun with no back? Like in Texas, there's not really a backup truck. You go over there, you buy a
very free state.
You buy a gun and you leave. Do you think that's necessary?
I have thoughts for and against it. They do what they do. People are going to do what they're going to do. I think there's room in Texas for more gun control. I think there's scenarios where we shouldn't have as much gun control. I think this campus being a no-gun zone is dangerous, right? If people come to do it October 7th, if Muslim extremists come to this campus to kill Christians, which they think is their highest calling, we're screwed. These cops, they're not going to do anything to us. The local PD is not going to do anything for us. I think Second Amendment is a necessary evil. You can disagree or agree. I think it's a great thing. I think we probably agree on most things.
Yeah, maybe not social stuff, but yeah. Oh.
Yes, please. Let me get a drink of water. It's really hard because I'm just getting yelled at from.
You're getting like double teamed by like all these like third parties and shit. I think you're doing.
I can't hear.
I'm sorry. You got like third party and
Appreciate
shit.
y'all
I'm so
support.
sorry.
Appreciate y'all support.
I want you to explain it because you're very.
If you want to give up your time to talk to her, but there's so many people out here who want to talk. I just don't want to focus on one person.
I believe Charlie Kirk said that abortion was worse than the Holocaust.
Yes, in numbers it is.
Okay, so you agree on this stance?
Yes.
So you, as a Christian, don't support abortion?
No, I don't.
Okay. But you believe,
as a Christian and a person, I have a whole like secular argument against it as well.
Okay. But as Americans, we're all allowed to our own opinions, correct?
110%.
So why should the government be taking away those rights from these women?
Why does the government say murder is wrong? Why is the government allowed to limit murder?
Murder is wrong of a being who's outside of the womb and who can take care of themselves, who is able to form thoughts, who is able to have all of those feelings.
So you just
I see your shirt. So
you just added an arbitrary characteristic,
Okay.
Which is the same thing that people did to justify slavery, right?
Okay.
So Abraham Lincoln's argument against slavery was you say A is white and B is black. It is skin color then, the lighter having the right to enslave the darker.
Okay.
Take care by this rule, you are to be a slave to the first person who is a skin color fairer than your own.
Slavery
right?
was justified by the Bible, though. So should we be?
Some people justify the Bible, but it also only got abolished because of the Bible. So we can go back and forth on that. But the point is, you can add whatever arbitrary trait you want to denounce a human being's rights.
Okay.
But every time we've done that through history, we cause atrocities, right? So when you separate person and human, that's where the Nazis said, yeah, Jews are people, or Jews are humans, but they're not people, right? We said blacks are humans, but they're not people. And it was wrong every time we've done it. And we're doing the same thing now with fetuses.
Okay. So you're pro-life for when the child comes out of the womb as well, right? So
100%.
You're supporting that children are brought into a world that this parent doesn't want this child. So let's take away the mother's option to say, I'm not ready to have this child. And you're saying, hey.
But we have tons of programs where you can give away the
what?
kid immediately.
Foster care?
We have foster care. We have the
There's
safe.
so many children in foster care that are not loved.
Yeah, but
not loved.
how many people How many couples are waiting to adopt? How many people are waiting to adopt a kid in the U.S.? How many couples?
But not to get
2
rid
million.
Of, not enough to get rid of every single child that is unloved.
Yes,
in the foster care system.
but here's the deal: if you want to kill a kid because you're scared that they might live an impoverished or bad life, I understand. I fully understand where you're coming from.
Sorry, I like
But
getting nervous.
you wouldn't go around and shoot. You wouldn't go around and shoot poor kids because they're probably going to have poor outcomes. Right? That's a subjective thing, and if you think that's right, good for you. A lot of people have said that it is, including Hitler. He's let's just kill all the people who are disabled because they're going to live a bad life and they're going to weigh down society. But I think it's morally wrong through and through.
Okay. I mean, I feel like there's no middle ground on this point. I don't believe in bringing in children into a world that they can't be loved in. It's unfair.
I agree that the opportunity is unfair, and as I'm a.
You don't want a child, you don't have to. People say that.
That is very insensitive of you to be
No,
saying.
it's not. That's reality.
That is very insensitive of you to be saying because rape happens a lot in this
That's
world.
another point.
You should not be bringing. Okay, sex is inevitable. I'm sorry.
That's what
I'm
you
sorry.
said.
Sex is inevitable. Ma'am, have you ever worked with children in the foster care system?
Yes.
All right, sorry, I'm going to have to move on. Anybody over here want to talk? Thank you very much. Thank you. Hello. Hey, can I acknowledge, I know some of you really hate me right now, some of you really hate that I'm out here, but listen to everybody talking about their different opinions right now coming together on this. I think this is a good thing that we need on college campuses. This is what we need on campus, right? This is a good thing when people who disagree unite and we rough out our feelings. Would anyone else like to talk?
Charlie Kirk was a Nazi and so was his wife. What was just being talked about?
Everything. Anything and everything. Yeah, if you think Charlie Kirk is a Nazi, you really need to meet other Republicans, because it gets quite bad. You know what a Nazi would do? They would remove gun rights. They did. And then they used it to kill people.
I just have a question. I can set the recorder. We can skip all that. Why do you think Charlie Kirk is an American hero? Like, your whole point, you've been going on about the Jewish, you've been going on about Palestine, you've been going on about whatever. That's literally not the sign, and that's fine. We get off topic.
I talked about it earlier.
That's
didn't hear
completely
it.
fine. My question is, why do you think he's an American hero?
A hero is somebody who is admired for their courage, for their outstanding achievements.
What outstanding achievements has he had? Because an American hero, for me, is someone who does something for America. Yes, he did something being a political figure, but what did he change for America itself?
Yeah.
Because that is towards a group of people, not towards America itself. When you do something, it's to benefit America.
My personal belief is that when people learn the other side of a story, no matter what your persuasion is, if people learn the other side of the story, that's a good thing, just in general. And I also think, and you can disagree with this, that when people become more conservative, we have more conservative people in the nation, we go back to our roots that made us a flourishing nation versus the socialistic hellhole.
Okay, I disagree, but that's fine. But what other side is being taught?
Yeah, so he was
I get that your whole point is standing here defending Charlie Kirk because a lot of the narrative is negative, and I agree. I don't like Charlie Kirk personally. Do I think that should have happened to him? No. But I'm saying, what did America learn?
Yeah.
What did America learn from that?
Well, he started nearly 1,000 chapters across the U.S. to represent free speech and debate. It's largely a good thing for everybody, disagree or
disagree. Free speech is already a thing that's in the Constitution.
Yeah, but he encouraged it because we're getting.
That doesn't matter if he encouraged it. It's already in the Constitution, so that's not changing anything that's in the America bylaws that we have.
Mm-hmm.
That's simply a right that we have when we're born.
But that's what I think made him an American hero, because that is free speech is a very American thing. A lot of people don't have that. Okay. So I think he was by priding on American free speech, American values, and the values that make America great. He was being heroic and courageous, and he made an outstanding.
Wouldn't you agree though that making America great is your opinion? By what he stands for, isn't that your opinion?
Do you not want to make America great?
How can we make America great by debating Charlie Kirk? I'm saying, what's your point here?
By taking people who disagree, who are getting mad and getting heated at each other. Whenever you stop talking in a marriage, that's when you get divorced. Or you stop talking in politics, people start getting assassinated. When you don't talk to the other side, you get echo chambers and you demonize the other side. And he wanted to bridge that gap.
This is a belief that I have. Charlie Kirk didn't get assassinated because of his rights. He got assassinated for his beliefs. So he the exact same quote, and you can debate that if you want. He said that violence is a necessary cause. In your stance earlier, saying that everybody should have guns, does that not cause more violence? If
your argument
let's say 5
would be
people
that it
here have a
does.
gun, I shoot someone and they shoot me back, and then someone shoots them. How does that solve anything?
If you all have guns, you probably wouldn't pull it out on each other, right?
How can you guarantee that?
Yeah, so you can't, right? That's what I'm saying. It's a necessary evil. There are going to be gun deaths, but a requirement of a free nation is gun rights.
And it is a necessary evil, but wouldn't it be 10 times worse if everybody here had a gun? You don't know what mental health issues people have.
Yeah, I think he was all for some restrictions, right? He had we can disagree on how much restrictions we should or shouldn't have, but that's a totally different argument.
People are violent, not guns.
Exactly, but you give
We have one gun or 100 guns. If we have one crazy person, we don't need 100 guns to have that.
You don't need to have violence. Someone can punch me right now. That's not I'm just saying you have to have.
They can still kill you.
It's a major debate.
Yeah, and that's why we have to have more gun constriction. I'm saying the topic that he's debating right now. Everybody should have guns. You're just giving guns to violent people.
I'm not just giving guns to violent people. I'm all for restricting.
Okay, you're saying everybody here gets a gun. How do you know who's violent and who's not? Don't we already have background checks?
Here's one one reasonable thing I think we could do is we have a ton of veterans on this campus, right, who've sworn to protect this country, foreign and domestic, right? So why not let them have guns, right?
Don't most veterans already have guns?
Huh? But we're not allowed to bring them on campus, right?
Then that's something that you bring up with the campus.
That's what I'm bringing up. I'm talking to people.
No, you're bringing up that Charlie Kirk's an American.
This is one of those issues. Absolutely. I'd be happy to do the same thing specifically about gun rights and bringing guns to UIW.
So what do you think talking to college students about? Yeah, it brings up the debate, but what do you think that we can do?
We are the next generation of America. We are America. We're deciding the course of America right now.
We are not deciding anything. Our president is deciding things.
Well, we voted him, right?
Yeah, not all of us.
A lot of people
half of America voted him.
Yeah. That's the whole point of the democracy.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. But if half of us don't agree with what the president's doing, how is that changing anything?
Say that one more time.
If we don't agree with what the president's doing, how is that changing anything? The president has free will. He can do what he believes is right.
You can do what I'm doing right now. You say, hey, a ton of the country is celebrating his death. I don't think that's right. I'm going to go out and talk about it. I'm going to confront people who hate him, see why they do, and try to find out. I think that's purely a good, heroic American thing.
I don't think that's a heroic thing. I think that's freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is not equal heroism. It's not.
When MLK used his freedom of speech to come
He
out,
fought for civil rights. Charlie Kirk fought for his freedom of speech and his beliefs. That's not the same thing.
he fought for civil rights just the same.
How did he fight for civil rights?
Do you think? Well, we're probably going to disagree on this, but he was making point against abortion, right? It's a human rights issue. You can agree with him or disagree with him, but he was pushing for what he thought was human rights. We were just reading statistics earlier. In 2021, 94% of the jobs in the S&P 100, there was 320,000 new jobs created in the S&P 100. 94% went to people of color, leaving only 6% of the jobs to go to white people. Right? And we're 60% of the population. I'm being discriminated against, right? There's tons of documented lawsuits on this. He was fighting.
So you think you're being discriminated against? Doesn't that give you right to sue?
Well, actually, no. And this is one of those critiques, is because the Civil Rights Act that Martin Luther King pushed actually created this DEI system where we don't look at opportunities, we look at outcomes. Right? So it's racist if your workplace doesn't represent the population.
It is, but also the DEI laws got removed by Donald Trump.
No, that's not true. We still, I can read a ton of these here. What's it called? Affirmative action for college colleges. It was very good. Still, colleges are trying to do it.
Then why is Target getting so much backlash for rolling back on their DEI bylaws?
What do you mean?
Like the whole boycotting Target thing is because they decided to roll back the DEI laws because it's not obligated anymore. That's why they're being boycotted. So what do you mean it's not happening when Target is getting that backlash?
I'm saying it is happening. We still have colleges and business. I mean, 2021, they hired 94% people of color, only 6% white people. There's active discrimination, but there's schools that are coming and saying, hey, this test, in New York City, they're saying, this test has bad pass rates for black kids and Hispanic kids. Therefore, we're going to get rid of the test because it's racist, right? That is socialism. That is equal outcome, right? It's wrong. Opportunity, Charlie was all for that. All for it. That was his major critiques against the civil rights movement. He agreed with the premise, but the execution was poor. It's allowed DEI, it's allowed us to take away voter registration. The Great Society Act created a welfare state in America. Created a lot of issues. And he was critical of those.
Okay, that's fair. So by this logic that you have, would you agree that Dean Withers is an American hero?
I disagree with Dean. I think he gets a lot of things wrong. He certainly hasn't done nearly as much as Charlie Kirk in a physical sense. He doesn't have.
You said that. Yeah.
He doesn't have 1,000 chapters across the campus. He read 7 best-selling books. He didn't get the President's Medal of Honor. There's so many achievements that are outside. Anybody, Charlie Kirk is outside.
But you said earlier that an American hero is someone that people admire. So do people not admire Dean Withers?
They do, and it's completely
subjective. So that means that he's an American hero, right?
No, he's not an American hero to me. I would argue against the fact
So you're just being a hypocrite, deciding who's an American hero and who's not, because you just said it's someone who
it's a subjective thing. I can decide who I think is a hero. Do you think Desmond Doss from World War II is a hero?
I don't know.
You don't know who he is, right? Not a hero to you. You don't even know who he is. My biggest inspiration in life, right? There's a combat medic who saved 80 people and didn't carry a gun at Hacksaw Ridge. You should look at it. They made a whole book on it. It's beautiful, right? Got hot? We didn't need the camera. Huh?
So you need the camera to talk?
No. I see. I was defending this earlier. I'm out here to engage with. This is not easy, all right? Charlie said a lot of things. It took a lot of work to be able to come here and stand up against it and be able to report against it. I would like to see that work blasted out to the internet to possibly millions of people versus 100 people, right? And a lot of people can't even hear what I'm saying. So somebody might come up and call me a racist and say that I said the N-word, and it's just public opinion whether or not I said that. If I have the camera, I have evidence to defend myself.
I get what you're saying. Like, a free country isn't a safe country. But we shouldn't be pushing for gun freedom if we can barely handle freedom of speech.
What do you mean we can't handle freedom of speech?
Yeah, I know. So
maybe redirect the argument.
Yeah. Right now, you're talking about gun violence, right?
I would talk about anything to do with Charlie Kirk.
Shouldn't be anymore, right?
Yeah. I'm against gun violence. I think it's awful. I think there's a lot of steps we can do to get rid of it. I think some of that is gun control. Some of it is more guns, right? There's a way back and forth.
However, you're saying we should give AR-15s to Jews or Israelis or people to fight against ICE.
No, I'm saying if the Jews had guns, which the Nazis took away before they genocided them, years before, right? It was a slow. That's how rights get taken away. It's a slow creep. If they had guns, the Holocaust wouldn't have happened, right? And it certainly wouldn't happen in that scale. But let me. Is it running yet? I'll still have the audio.
Let me find this logic with you.
Yeah.
So we're saying that in the Holocaust, the Jews got their guns taken away, and the Nazis took over.
Yep.
You're saying, and earlier you did say that, what if we murdered ICE agents, right?
No. If you are fully convinced, I don't want to get in that whole argument. If you are convinced that ICE agents are going out and violating people's civil rights by jumping out of vans, masked, taking Spanish off the street for no reason, if you are convinced of that, you want the Second Amendment. That's the only way you can defend yourself and get something tyrannical like that.
The way you're defending yourself right now is using your verbal, you're using your verbal rights. So that's what people are doing on the street protesting.
But if the cops came over, barged the crowd, and put me in handcuffs, then where are my verbal rights? They're useless.
Okay,
right?
So you see how millions of immigrants are dealing with that right now, and you want millions of Americans to go fight guns with that.
That's not my whole argument right now. I'm saying, if you think ICE is this big oppressive thing, we're having a genocide happen right before us. We're having the culling of the Jews, right? We're seeing those same signs. If you think that, you should want a gun. To protect yourself and protect your family.
I mean, I could have a gun. I could also not have a gun. Why do we have to depend on guns?
Doesn't mean you have to
protect ourselves.
You should speak softly and carry a big stick. That was Teddy Roosevelt, right? We need to be able to back what we're saying. It doesn't mean we have to use it, right? I mean, every time we go out, I do these street debates. I always have a pistol on me. I have pepper spray. I have a knife. I'm ready. I never want to use it.
Don't you think that's kind of scary, though, that we live in a society that's mostly... I'm not going to blame conservatives because it's not only conservatives, liberals, leftists. We all come into this big demographic where we argue with each other. Why do we have to defend ourselves against literal government agents that are using their force to detain immigrants? They're kidnapping them. There have been so many people. Yeah, they're detaining citizens. So many people that just because they look like a person of color, they get sent to ICE.
A genuine question, because the No King's Day protests are coming up. They're going to be a big immigration thing. We are in San Antonio. We're a very ultra-conservative state with a huge Hispanic population, a ton of illegal aliens. Do you know anybody who is a legal citizen who has been jumped by ICE and arrested? Wrongly.
Personally, doesn't dilute the fact that it has happened.
I think it's maybe it has. Right? I think maybe. Right?
Do you know a kid that was in Palestine that got murdered? No, but does that change the fact that it's happening? No.
But if we were in Palestine and everybody's saying the buildings are getting blown up at every corner and they're blowing up hospitals, I am on top of the conversation. If you are in Palestine and they're saying Israel is carpet bombing Palestine, and you look around and you go, I'm not seeing any carpet bombing. Do you see any carpet bombing? And nobody's seen any of the carpet bombing. Then you go, okay, maybe it's not happening. I'm saying we should do the same thing about ICE.
With your eyes, that means it's not happening.
No,
that's like me saying that there's something happening
plausible
in France, and I don't
deniability.
think it's true just because I don't see it happening with my two eyes.
I think it's plausible deniability, right?
Yeah, but it would be if there wasn't literal evidence on
because you're
the
all
internet.
asserting that for sure citizens are wrongfully all the
There
time
is
being
literal
grabbed
video
by
evidence
ICE.
of people being detained by ICE.
There's also a lot of misinformation of clips from 5 years ago that they're of just
There is
of
a
a
lot
Hispanic person getting arrested. And they're saying, look what this ICE
This
person.
is happening in 2025.
Just the other day, there was a clip circulating of a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old. I don't know. Yeah, I want to say 15. She was getting her. The cops were following her. They jump out. They arrest her, and she's screaming. They say, "Look at what these ICE agents did to this poor citizen." It was from 5 years ago, and she had just robbed like a
At that point,
bank.
if you believe that, whose fault is that? Is that whose
It's
fault is that?
everybody's fault.
No, it's not everybody's fault. If you, as a listener and reader, are looking at evidence and you're only believing what
Do you think Charlie Kirk was a racist?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You are a victim of the same thing. You're a victim of misinformation.
It's not misinformation because you can sit here and debate like his opinions and what he meant by that, but the only factual thing is Charlie Kirk is not going to say that for himself.
Well, thankfully we have thousands of hours of him speaking. So
Okay, and we do, and there were so many things that he said that you could say was taken out of context, but it was simply wrong. He said that if his daughter got raped, that he would make his daughter have the kid.
First off, that has nothing to do with race. You can disagree with him on portion.
I'm just saying, I'm not saying it has to do with race. I'm saying that that's one of the
you
things
were
that
just
he
claiming
says.
that he's a racist, right? So this man talked for 3 hours a day, right? Minimum for 5 to 10 years. And we pulled out the media as soon as he died. Leftist media sorts, people who lean left, self-identify left, you have pulled clips of him talking out of context, like 20 or so clips, to make him look racist, sexist, homophobic, hateful. But for every single one of those, there is thousands of hours of him speaking the exact opposite. He said race is abhorrent and disgusting, or racism is abhorrent and disgusting. He thinks we should be judged by the merit, not by our skin color, our sexual orientation, or our sex.
If I may, to say anything that has that heavy an implication, you have to understand the context behind it, right? So even if he's only said those instances or those remarks that somewhat symbolize what he's saying akin to racism, he is smart. He was a smart individual. I think we can all agree with that. Even though we may not agree with what he believes, he's very smart. Yeah, it's not say certain things that implicate racism in any type of way is something that is done very intentionally when you're somebody that's...
I don't think he ever intentionally did that, and I mean, there's maybe 2 quotes. There's maybe 2 quotes where he said something that was a little brash, right? It was a little too all-inclusive,
There's
right?
nothing a little rash about being racist.
What was it? Name a quote from him that is completely racist. I'll defend it for you. You gotta Google it. See, but you're calling him a racist and you don't even know what he said.
Yeah, you have your...
But I
was a mistake.
Yes, it was because he agreed with the premise that all people should be judged by their merit, not by their skin color. But he said civil rights. He said the civil rights movement created a welfare state in the United States, which he was against. He is a free capitalist, right? He's a libertarian. He doesn't like the government stealing money from other people to give it to other people.
He's exhausted.
And he had a whole argument about that. But I understand why you're mad at him for that. But in context, he's giving an argument.
He's disregarding the other implications.
He said it was a great thing that's been abused.
He said, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Yeah, so
who in the right mind would have that thought?
Whenever, so again, the statistic we talked about earlier, if you have 320,000 jobs that were created in the S&P 100, and only 6% of those jobs were filled by white people, even though there's 60% of the population, is that discrimination? Where is that information?
No, they weren't qualified.
That's statistically impossible. It's from Bloomberg, 2021 study.
What do you mean? He also said, remember what BLM stands
Yes. How many billions of dollars in damage do they do to their own cities and communities?
Peacefully protesting.
That's fine.
Okay, that's like saying, okay, everybody
But
here has a gun.
did
How many
BLM
people- like, how many
do
people got murdered?
$2 to $4 billion
So
worth
you're
of damage?
blaming all the damage that was done on everybody who participated in
No.
BLM? That's
No,
exactly
I'm saying people
that's
in BLM were
exactly-
doing that, right?
That's a joke.
I'm sorry.
And hey, did BLM actually steal the money, or did they use it to actually
Could we
progress black
have
purposes?
a very just direct conversation? Because I feel like, no offense, I feel like a lot of people are jumping in and getting the arguments diverted from one another without allowing you or them to actually emphasize what their points are.
I want to address the black
redirect-
pilots. and I'll
Could
come
we
back to you.
redirect from just
So,
all those things at once?
50%. United Airlines came out and said we want to put 50% of our classes will be black or people of color, or will be women or people of color. Right? Statistically, if you divide up the population and you try to force that into there, you have to lower the standards to get into the class. Right? We see this all the time with like med school and stuff. Black students, it's just a fact, right? Black students score lowest out of all other races, right? Followed by Hispanics, then whites, then Asians.
What study was that done from?
It's GPA. I mean, it's GPA studies from as far back as you can get. And the numbers fluctuate, but that general ranking stays true. And people like to say, "Well, it's DI, it's systemic racism." But this, again, just another fact: Asian high school students study 4 times longer than a black student.
Don't you think they have the support from their parents, the resources to do that?
Exactly. That's the whole point. It's a cultural thing. It's not a systemic racism.
That's not a cultural thing. That's a demographic thing.
Asians
That's not
have a cultural thing where education is mega important to them. Outperforming is mega important. It's just a fact. You're met an Asian, but Asians actually went through more recent discrimination, severe discrimination, than black people in America.
Okay,
we locked them up in internment camps in World War I and II.
Socioeconomic and geographical locationally based. Culture is not race to race. If let's say
I'm talking about American black culture.
Yes,
and it differs from place to
that
place.
culture is based off of their socioeconomic presence and when they were placed into America, like in terms of getting
Hispanics and black people are about the same poverty rate per capita, right? But Hispanics study for much longer than blacks.
Again, socioeconomic and geographical standards when it comes to...
I just added the socioeconomic perspective.
You're disregarding the geographical location based off of Mexico to U.S. and the very obvious connection to
U.S.
there is
population in the center of America.
I'm sorry, what is your point there?
We have a culture problem in America. And that was a big thing that Charlie Kirk would point out. Whenever he would say what people deem racist quotes, he was speaking about that, which is why I bring it up. That was his argument. But if you pull a little, if you clip me saying that black people don't study nearly as much as Asians, and you just post that, people are going to hate me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they would hate me.
It's just rage bait.
But he's just giving a statistic.
Regardless, if people are lowering their standards, shouldn't you blame the airlines in that case? Like, why?
Yeah, it was wrong for the airlines to do that. He was calling that out.
Privatization of the airlines.
And the other thing that he called out for the same argument is like 80% of the players in the NBA are black. If we made a requirement and said, oh, it needs to represent the demographics of America, so 60% of the players need to be white, would we or would we not have worse basketball players as a cause?
So you agree that things are merit-based, right?
Yes, things should be merit-based, but they're not right now. We're some things are, but we're pushing away from it very quickly.
What is DEI?
DEI is diversity, equity, inclusion.
How is DEI implemented? Let's use your example, the airline space, right?
Yeah,
Because I have family in the airline space. I think this is something I might know a little bit about. I want to ask how you view this.
In 2014 to 2016, there's a class action lawsuit because the FAA was giving black students a cheat sheet. There's whistleblowers that came out and said, hey, they're giving them cheat sheets because they want to increase their diversity numbers, right? And
So that's only the diversity
constantly
numbers when it
ignoring
comes to
white
making
applicants.
pilots, not when the pilots get accepted for flights.
Yeah.
In a private business such as the airline space, pilots are selected.
Yeah, but you can't discriminate. That's what the Civil Rights Act was for. You can't discriminate. And it was a good thing, but because they wrote it kind of sloppily and loose, now you can't discriminate based on outcomes, right? So there's a test in New York City for teachers, and black people who were taking the test, black people who were trying to apply to be teachers, were scoring lower than everybody else. Same as I said with GPA, that general scale applied. And they said, hey, we can't. There's not a discriminatory question, I can't point to why this is discriminatory or racist, but the
Not
outcome
inherently
is racist.
discriminatory.
So it's wrong, and they had to pay a $1.8 billion lawsuit. Right? I think that's
So
wrong.
the means of that argument in that lawsuit is that inherently they were what's the correct word when something's like leaning towards something. Inherently they were inclined towards the demographic that they wanted to score well on those tests.
No, but there was no proof of that. They said we can't prove that it was, but like all other tests, they were scoring worse. And same thing with what do they call it? Social workers, right? They're doing the same thing with social workers now. They're saying, okay, we need more black social workers because black kids are seeing social workers. Very reasonable, right?
Okay.
But the way they're doing it is they said, hey, this test is keeping more black people from getting into this position, so we need to get rid of the test. I think that's wrong. I think it compromises.
So if you wanted to get rid of DEI in this instance, what is your advocacy for helping different individuals, different communities actually achieve more equal scores?
Equal opportunity. I think one great thing that Charlie was a big advocate for is school choice. Right? If you are a black kid in the inner city, you shouldn't have to go to the schools that have less funding and stuff like that, more stuffed classrooms, even though we've done a lot to put trillions of dollars into solving that. But you should be able to choose, hey, I want to go to the school in
How
this
is that
neighborhood
achieved,
makes
though?
Huh?
How is that achieved?
It gives you equal opportunity to pick. It's not real, but it's what he was advocating. It's what he wanted.
Where is he advocating for that and when? Do you have any receipts?
Yeah. He was talking about it with, I don't have that specific quote.
Okay.
But, I mean, if you just want to get...
I'll take your word for it. I just want to know what is the foundation of that. Like, how would that be achieved? I feel like you haven't answered that.
How would it be what?
How would a system where students would be able to choose, I want to go to this school, I want to go to that school, how would that be achieved?
Instead of the government saying, okay, here in this school district you have 50 students.
50 students.
I'm going to give you the government.
I'm going to give you this
I've
much
taxed
money based off
everybody,
of students.
and I'm now going to give you $15,000 for the students. Instead of doing that, they give it directly to the parents, and they say, hey, you can apply this $15,000 anywhere. If
Okay.
you want to go to UIW and you want to get a private education costs $36,000, all right, you have that choice. Good luck paying the difference. But here's the $15,000. We're going to give you choice instead of restricting it by districts.
So,
because neighborhood
the
structures.
defunding of public education.
No. No, it's
Because that's getting rid of the
reallocating
taxes. That's getting rid of the taxes that are taken away by our system.
They're still taking the taxes, but instead of giving it
But it's
directly
not
to the
taxed.
school,
That's the thing. It's not being taxed.
what do you mean?
That currency, that money, is not being taxed.
It's from
being
taxes.
used. It's being used as a ticket.
It's been pulled from taxes. So and they like whenever you went to high school, wherever you went.
But you don't just make money off of pulling the taxes themselves. You make money off of the entire taxing system itself.
Yeah, I mean,
You're
yeah, we
losing.
collect
You're
taxes in
still
too many ways.
defunding public education by getting rid of the taxing process.
No, we're giving them the same amount of money.
The
we're just
same
letting
amount,
the
but
parents,
not through the same system that is
we're letting
still
the parents-
funding taxes.
Okay, we're letting the parents and the students choose where they want to go to school. Because if you think America's systemically racist and you go, all right, I don't have an equal opportunity because I was born in the ghetto and my school doesn't have very much funding, right? You have the choice to go to a different school. It would create an equal opportunity playing field. That was the sort of things he argued for.
In a very ideal world, I would love to say that would be something that would be possible. But that would
there's
only
a policy
privatize.
written
That would
to
only
do it.
further privatize education. And
Yeah,
when
I
you
think-
further
I think
privatize
should
education,
be privatized.
when you further privatize education, you disregard and completely alleviate. You disregard and you throw away so many different issues and so many different standards that people have to go through to get to the same level of education.
Not whenever the government is saying, hey, black people aren't passing this, so we're just going to remove it.
Yeah.
Right? Hispanics are
So
not
do you
passing this, we're just gonna
think
remove it.
that they should be like, let's say as you said, a kid from the ghetto, right? Do you think that he would have just as fair of a chance as getting into one of the more, let's say this were to happen tomorrow, right? Do you think he would have just as fair of a chance getting into one of those more prestigious education
It's
systems.
just a high school, so you just go to it. You know?
Oh, so you just go to
Yeah.
it?
But, I mean, if you want to talk about colleges, we had
No, I'm not
affirmative
talking about
action
college. I'm
where
talking mainly about
we had
like,
affirmative action
kids.
where white people and Asians, specifically mostly Asians, because they
I'm so
score
sorry,
higher.
but I'm not talking about colleges.
Well, but it's education. It's the same
Yeah,
thing.
but I'm
And
so
affirmative
sorry. I
action-
want to stay on the topic of high schools because colleges is its own system, its own issues, its own policies, laws, governments. That's why I don't. I think if we're gonna stay in an argument, we should talk about one thing specifically, right? So let's talk about high schools, not colleges. So if we're talking about high schools, how are they going to have an equal chance of an equal opportunity of getting into those prestigious schools based off of, as you said, like a ticketing system?
Public school. To get in.
So you can just apply and you'll get
Whenever
in.
you apply for your kid to go to like kindergarten, you have to enroll them.
But
in
wouldn't the
class.
same system
They
be
don't,
set
like,
up?
They're not like, well, is your 2-year-old? How's your 2-year-old doing on English and math? What's their GPA? You just bring them into the school. If you want to go to a private school like UIW, they can make whatever policies they want.
Wouldn't that same pyramid system be set up though? These tickets, I feel like just based on the standard of human nature, I feel like would get weighed against each other. Their backgrounds, their upbringings, their scores, anything from the past would get weighed.
That's why I think
against
we should take the government out of it, because the government intrinsically violates people's negative rights.
But
And
I
if we
think
take the
also
government
if
out
you
of it,
go
we people
private,
who are local try to. We're not talking about
so
private, we're
you
still
think,
public schools.
yeah,
They're funded public.
no, but I'm saying that this would still be. So you're saying it shouldn't be run by the government at all?
Yeah.
And so
I'm
if it's not run by the
libertarian.
government,
I don't like big government.
I don't like big government either. But if it's not run by the government, you want it to be ran by private systems.
No, it's still public. Like, so UIW doesn't get any money from the federal government. UTSA, students go here, pay people's tuition at UTSA, right? Whenever I pay taxes,
Yeah.
there's an extra thing on there to pay for the public school UTSA. Meanwhile, I'm going here. I would rather have public choice. Say, hey, if you guys are giving so much money per student to UTSA, you should do the same thing to UIW. Because you're stealing my money to pay for somebody else's education just because I want to go somewhere different. I think that's wrong. And it's the same thing with high schools.
But so who would run the system when it comes to getting those tickets accepted? That's what I'm not understanding. If you want something to happen, I want your reasoning and your explanation for how it would happen.
Well, it's the same way we do now. If you just apply to go to a school, you either get in or you don't. Under affirmative action, if you're a minority or a woman, you have a far higher chance
So
to actually get in.
wouldn't
But
it be
I
a
think that's
very similar
discriminatory.
system to the college system? Because I thought you said that there was no application. It was just if you have this ticket, you would be able to say, I want to go to this school.
You still have to
You get
enroll
to
your
choose.
kid to go to kindergarten.
Yeah, but you don't have to apply.
Yeah, you're enrolling, you're applying. They might say, no, we don't have enough slots.
So it would be based off the space. So first come, first serve for all these schools.
Yeah, that's how it is now. I don't know too much about like how exactly that works. I'm hoping to have a kid soon. I'm hoping to
Well,
learn a little
when
bit,
it comes to public schools, it is somewhat first come, first serve, but there's still ways to get yourself on a waiting list, to get yourself ahead. Students that have higher test scores coming in from other schools will generally get accepted into these schools easier. They'll
Don't
be
you think you
put first
should?
on a priority list. I believe so, but then if you're
not
saying
gonna judge
that, you're
students
setting
based
up
off their merit,
you're
then what do you
setting
judge
up
them
you're setting up the exact same system. The exact same system,
it's
just
totally
in a different light.
It's totally because you're giving the choice to the people, to the students and to the parents, instead of to the district lines, which is a systemic racism problem, right? So, what's our argument? We can go back and forth and disagree on what's actually best, but
I just
you
feel
need a
like you
different
don't
solution.
have a real merit for this solution. I don't think
I mean, you're welcome
I think
to
if
disagree.
you're saying that it's going to be government ran, but then you're saying that you don't want the government involved in it at
no,
all.
I'm saying it's not going to be government. We still have public schools. We have schools that are publicly funded.
So it would be more like a charter school. Am I wrong?
No, a charter school is where you like ship yourself off.
That's a boarding school. That's a boarding school. Yeah, yeah. Charter school. So charter schools are very similar to public schools, but they do. I'm pretty sure they do get They do get private funds. They do get private funds, but they are
also
technically like public schools. You can just go. So it'd be the same system, just with a ticket, pretty much.
I don't have a strong stance on what's the right or wrong answer there. He thought that just discriminating people based off their race is wrong.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. Yeah.
I think your time. There's plenty of people who want to talk to you.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm exhausted. Thank you. Because I have an incident.
Why are you saying that you have it on? It doesn't matter.
He didn't think it was significant
cannot
either.
say that.
I'm sorry. Everybody's getting a little too aggressive. I'm gonna leave now. Hi, first off, thank you for watching my feature film. This was never supposed to be this long or this significant of a life event, but here we are. Every time I make one of these videos, I make so many mistakes. There's so many things I could improve on. There's so many things I should have said that I didn't, or things that I shouldn't have said that I did, or information I got wrong or didn't present correctly, whatever it is. Out of all my mistakes in this video, and there is several, the one thing I wish I could go back and redo with some foreknowledge is my explanation of why Charlie Kirk was an American hero. Charlie Kirk was an American hero because he spoke up for Americans like me all across the country who know if they go out and they speak, they will get 1,300 of their peers wishing for their death and confronting their friends, telling them that they have to excommunicate you and calling you a Nazi and a fascist and a racist, sexist a-hole. That's why Charlie Kirk was an American hero, because for years he has been going out and eating that for us. This sucked. Prepping for it sucked. Doing it sucked. And the aftermath sucked. And I knew every single stage of it sucked. So why did I do it? It wasn't for me. It was for Charlie Kirk. Because Charlie Kirk spent his entire life doing it for me. That's what heroes do. And that's what Charlie was. Feel free to disagree. I don't care. Have a good night. Thank you for watching.